Chapter 378. Abused the rotten peach blossom. Sent for identification _7 really? Mo Chishan asked with some uncertainty. Macham. Young nodded, raising an eyebrow and counter-asking. What? You don't want me to go? Of course not. Mo Chishan said. I've been dreaming of you going Yang, you are really great. In fact, before asking this question, Mo Chishan was very nervous. After all, he and Yang haven't been in a relationship for that long. He was afraid Yang would think he was too frivolous. Mo Chishan was born a prodigy, but in front of Yang he didn't have much security, because Yang was just too outstanding, and she was so much younger than him. He was afraid Yang would despise him. Over here, Tsuehua and little Yin had already flown the kite into the sky. Little Yin clapped his hands excitedly. Amazing kite. Tsuehua handed the kite reel to little Yin. Yun, can you hold this? Once he had hold of the reel, little Yin became even more excited. Just then, the kite string suddenly broke. The kite in midair began to descend in a straight line. Little Yin pointed at the kite, anxiously saying, Down, gone. Yun, don't worry, mommy will take you to pick it up. Tsuehua carried little Yin towards the place where the kite had fallen. Halfway there, she saw a tall man carrying an eagle-shaped kite and walking in their direction. Comrade, is this your kite? Yes, it's ours. Tsuehua, holding the child with one hand and accepting the kite with the other, said, Thank you. No problem, it was just a small favor. It was then that Tsuehua recognized the man's face, and exclaimed in surprise, It's you. The man looked at Tsuehua in confusion. You are? Tsuehua continued. We met on the tram before. If it hadn't been for your timely intervention then, my child and I might have been in big trouble. Although they had met only briefly at the time, Tsuehua had a deep memory of his face. After all, he had helped her so much. Yes, this man was none other than Shangguan Dehui, the father of Shangguan Su. Shangguan Dehui only remembered the incident that had happened on the tram about 5 months ago. In the vast sea of people, two strangers meeting again was indeed a rare fate. Oh, it's you. The child has grown so much. Children can change a lot in a short time. There was a big difference between little Yin at 7 months and at 11 months. Fufu. Little Yin was very smart and knew to call younger people brother and older people uncle. She could say anything now, except for daddy. Shangguan Dehui loved children. Seeing such a cute little Yin, he couldn't help but ask, Would you mind if I hold the child? Not at all. Tsuehua handed the child to Shangguan Dehui. Shangguan Dehui reached out to take the child. Little Yin was rarely held by men, and was very excited at this moment. Shangguan Dehui continued, What's the child's name? Yin. Tsuehua explained, the Ni with a person radical, followed by Yun as in cloud. Shangguan Dehui nodded. Reach the end of the water and sit to watch the rising clouds. It's a very nice name. Thank you. Tsuehua thanked him. If it had been before, Tsuehua would definitely not have understood the meaning of these 2 lines of poetry, but now things were different. For more than half a year now, she had been reading every day and had completely transformed. Dad. Shangguan, she ran over from the other side, and when seeing Tsuehua and little Yin in Shangguan Dehui's arms, she paused for a moment. Shangguan Dehui took the initiative to introduce. This is my daughter, Shangguan Shi. Xiaoxi, this is Aunt Tsuehua and her daughter Yin. Shangguan Shi greeted them politely. Hello, Aunt. Little Yin chirped out, Sis. Of all the words, she could call out sister the clearest. Seeing how adorable little Yin was, Shangguan's heart was instantly warmed. Hello, little sis. Hello, sis. Little Yin was especially well behaved. Shangguan, she took out a candy from her pocket. Little sis, this is for you. Thank you, sis. Little Yin's face was so thrilled. Her eyes squinted into slits. You're welcome. Shangguan, she gently patted her little head, then remembered something, and addressed Shangguan Dehui. Dad, Aunt Lin and the others have arrived. Oh, let's go then. After bidding Tsuehua farewell, Shangguan Dehui and Shangguan Shi left together. Meanwhile, at the Zheng family, Zheng Lingling noticed that today, old lady Zheng had once again called butler Lu to the study room. So, under the pretense of delivering chicken soup to the old lady, she brazenly lurked outside to listen in. Inside the study room, old lady Zheng asked, "Butler Lu, how is that matter progressing?" Butler Lu replied, "Old madam, please don't worry. I have given the hair to Dr. Wang. The results should be out in about 3 months." Old lady Zheng nodded and then asked, "There has been no leak, has there? You can trust my discretion." "That's good." Old lady Zheng sighed in relief. "Butler Lu, I'm sorry for troubling you over this period." Butler Lu said, "Old madam, it's my duty and responsibility." The study room was reasonably soundproof. From outside, Zheng Lingling could only vaguely catch a few phrases. Dr. Wang, appraisal of the hair, things of that nature. Zheng Lingling narrowed her eyes. An ominous feeling surged in her heart. The old witch couldn't actually have found her real daughter, could she? If she did find her real daughter, then what would happen to her and Zheng Xianjing? And so, before the old witch made her will, nothing should threaten them. Better safe than sorry. Dr. Wang. Yes. This matter had to start with Dr. Wang. Zheng Lingling gradually cooled down, steadied herself, and left with the chicken soup. "Mom, what's wrong? You don't look well." Zheng Xianjing looked worriedly at Zheng Lingling. Zheng Lingling put down the chicken soup. "Xianjing, come with me." "Oh." Zheng Xianjing followed Zheng Lingling to the third floor's bedroom. Zheng Lingling closed the door and recited what she had overheard outside the study room to Zheng Xianjing. Upon hearing this, Zheng Xianjing's face changed markedly. "Mom, what should we do? Surely we can't just sit and wait." Zheng Lingling continued, "We have to find a way to replace the hair sample with Dr. Wang." "Replace the hair?" Zheng Xianjing furrowed her brow. "Yes." Zheng Lingling nodded. Zheng Xianjing then asked, "That might be difficult, right?" Zheng Lingling thought for a moment. "That's why we need to plan carefully. We can't afford to be careless." Having said that, Zheng Lingling added, "Xianjing, I remember Dr. Wang's son was your high school classmate, right? He's been to our house before, hasn't he?" "Yes." Zheng Xianjing nodded. Zheng Lingling instructed, "This weekend, you should invite him out." Zheng Xianjing narrowed her eyes. "Mom, you mean?" Zheng Lingling nodded. Chapter 379. Clever Mrs. Zheng, meeting the parents one by one revised. _1 Zheng Lingling turned her head towards Zheng Xianjing. A slight curve appeared on her lips, recognizing the look in the other's eyes. Despite Dr. Wang being unselfishly generous, he still has a son. They could take action related to the son. If they really wanted to go ahead, this matter would not be complicated. What Zheng Lingling didn't expect was that the conversation in the study room continued even after she left. Mrs. Zheng, tinged with worry, asked, "Butler Lu, do you really think modern equipment can be so accurate as to verify blood relations?" Matters concerning her only daughter made Mrs. Zheng extremely worried. She could not put all her hopes on the machines. No matter how good the machine was, there could still be errors. What if there were a mistake? Butler Lu said, "Don't worry, madam. We live in an era of advanced science and technology. There surely won't be any errors." Mrs. Zheng then said, "Butler Lu, you might have to go through the trouble again to send another hair sample to Dr. Xiaoran." "Madam, do you not trust Dr. Wang?" asked Butler Lu. "An extra authentication so that I can have peace of mind." Butler Lu, "I'm already 68 this year, and as the years pass, my health is deteriorating. I'm afraid." Towards the end, Mrs. Zheng let out a deep sigh. Her subsequent words were already understood without being spoken. Butler Lu said, "Madam, you will surely live a long life." Mrs. Zheng laughed. "I understand my own body and mind well enough, Butler Lu. There's no need for your consolation." Butler Lu followed up, "Madam, even if Miss Tingting is not found, you still have Xianjing by your side. Xianjing is a good child, but smart people often encounter misfortune." Mrs. Zheng looked up at the door and continued to say, "I clearly understand what Lingling is considering in her heart. A few days ago, did Lingling secretly look for you, asking about Tingting's matter?" At these words, Butler Lu was taken aback. His gaze towards Mrs. Zheng changed. He thought Mrs. Zheng knew nothing. In reality, Mrs. Zheng was as clear-hearted as a mirror. She knew everything. She just did not wish to bring it up. The reason for seeking Dr. Xiaoran to verify the results was probably because she was worried that Zheng Lingling would ruin it from the inside. Thinking of this, Butler Liu's gaze towards Mrs. Zheng was filled with more respect. Mrs. Zheng continued, "My older sister left us early, and Lingling was only 7 years old when she came to live with me. Even though the girl might be a bit too assertive at times, she's essentially not a bad person." Zheng Lingling was brought up by Mrs. Zheng, and she was her sister's daughter. Although they were not biological mother and daughter, their bond had the foundation of the previous generation's relationship. If it weren't for a friend's plea, Mrs. Zheng would not have been in the mood to adopt a daughter at the time. Butler Lu nodded. "Madam, what you said is right." After Zheng Lingling and her daughter discussed their secret plans and left the room, they bumped into Butler Lu and Mrs. Zheng coming down the stairs. "Grandma!" Zheng Xianjing came over reverently, supporting Mrs. Zheng's arm. Zheng Lingling said, "Mom, I have made chicken soup for you. The temperature is just right now. I will bring it over to you." Mrs. Zheng chuckled. "Lingling, you've worked hard. There is no need for you to make chicken soup for me every day." Zheng Lingling said, "It's not hard at all to prepare some chicken soup. As your daughter, looking after you is only right." As soon as she finished speaking, Zheng Lingling turned around to fetch the chicken soup from the kitchen. Zheng Xianjing led Mrs. Zheng to the couch to sit down. Just as Zheng Lingling was walking into the living room with the chicken soup, she was knocked over by a figure. Bang! The chicken soup was spilled on the floor, and the porcelain bowl was smashed to pieces. Clapping and laughter echoed in the air. "Wow! So much fun! It's really fun! Ha ha ha! Mom, are you alright?" Zheng Xianjing immediately ran over to help Zheng Lingling up. Zheng Lingling was furious. Her eyes flashed with intense venom. The chicken soup that she had worked hard on for over 3 hours had just been spilled by this crazy woman. If it wasn't for Mrs. Zheng's presence, she would have slapped her already. Zheng Lingling smiled and said, "I'm fine, Xianjing, don't worry." Even though Zheng Lingling claimed that she was fine, there was a frightful red mark on her wrist. Zheng Xianjing said, "I'll go get the burn ointment." "No need," Zheng Lingling laughed. "Surely a wound this small doesn't need burn ointment." "See you." Mrs. Zheng looked sternly at the person who caused the chicken soup to be spilled. "Sister, that was fun." Zhang Siyu didn't realize her mistake. Her eyes were sparkling with excited laughter. Chapter 380. Clever Mrs. Zheng, Meeting the Parents One by One, Revised _2. Zhang Suyu is the youngest sister of Old Master Zheng, and she is 56 years old this year. This younger sister was a talented woman in her early years, but she unfortunately met a faithless man and lost all faith in marriage. She openly declared that she would remain unwed for life, and had been living in the Zheng's residence ever since. Then 3 years ago, she went mad overnight while she was perfectly fine. When she was taken to the hospital, the doctors diagnosed her with a mental illness stemmed from severe depression. There was almost no chance of recovery. "Ghost. You are a ghost." Zheng Siyu stared at Zheng Lingling. She suddenly became frightened. How terrifying. "There's a ghost." "Ghost. You all are ghosts." Zheng Siyu suddenly pushed Zheng Lingling onto the ground, laughing crazily. "Ha ha. The ghost is dead. The evil ghost was killed by me. I am so powerful." "Suyu." Madame Zheng shouted angrily. "Butler Lu, take Suyu back to her room." "Sister, behave. Suyu will behave." Zheng Suyu plaintively clung to the sleeve of Madame Zheng. She looked like a scared child, making people reluctant to scold her. When was it that Zheng Suyu was also a person proud to the bone? Fate plays with people. Madame Zheng's eyes were filled with sadness and helplessness. Zheng Lingling, understanding the situation, said, "Mom, please don't blame Aunt Suyu. I was just not steady on my feet. Aunt Suyu didn't mean to. If she could control herself, she wouldn't behave like this." "Wah." Zheng Suyu made a face at Zheng Lingling. Madame Zheng sighed, looking at Zheng Suyu, and said, "Suyu, when can you get better?" "Sister, hee sister, you are so beautiful." Zheng Suyu suddenly became excited and started hopping around the room. Madame Zheng sighed again. her eyes full of sorrow. Park. Shangguan Dehui lost his wife early. His visits to the park this year were not just for leisure walks, but also for matchmaking events. Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi were sensible children. They did not object to their father finding a companion. The woman he met was Lin Fong, who is exactly 40 years old. Her husband passed away 5 years ago from liver cancer, and she remained unmarried. Shangguan Dehui is already 42 and at his age, he didn't have high demands for women. As long as the woman was gentle, virtuous, and able to live a daily life, that would be enough. Lin Fong was a kindergarten teacher, had an elegant job, and was decent in character. There was no significant generation gap between her and Shangguan Dehui. After the meeting, Shangguan Shi asked, "Dad, what is your impression of Aunt Lin?" Shangguan Dehui said, "You can only know a person's heart with time." Shangguan Shi asked, "So that means your first impression is good?" Shangguan Dehui turned the question, "Xiaoxi, what do you think of Lin Fong?" In fact, he didn't mind much. As long as Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi thought it was okay, it was okay. Shangguan Shi smiled and responded, "I think Aunt Lin is nice. She has a good background, a decent job, and a gentle personality. I think she's very compatible with you. How about dating Aunt Lin for a while, Dad? If you find you are not compatible, you can break up." Shangguan Dehui said, "I will think about it more." Shangguan Shi nodded and continued, "Actually, Aunt Lin is really good. I heard from Grandma Zhao that her husband has been gone for 5 years, but she has been devotedly serving her paralyzed mother-in-law without any complaints." Lin Fong was indeed a good person. Shangguan Shi did not want her father to miss her. Lin Fong returned home with a smile on her face. As soon as she opened the door, her only daughter, Chang Yu, eagerly asked, "Mom, how did it go?" Lin Fong said, "I think Shangguan Dehui should be quite satisfied with me." "Really?" Chang Yu asked in surprise. Lin Fong nodded. "At least the first impression is good." Chang Yu continued, "Mom, you must seize the opportunity. The Shangguan family is a wealthy family. If you marry into it, then I will be a lady of wealth. Moreover, I heard that Shangguan Su is the president of a bank, and he is also very handsome." Chang Yu got lost in her own fantasies. If her mother marries into the Shangguan family, although she can also become a rich young lady, she will always be a stepdaughter. But if she could capture Shangguan Zu's heart, it would be different. Then, she would become the true mistress of the Shangguan family. Lin Fong laughed and said, "Do I need you to tell me that?" Just then, a hoarse voice came from the next room. "Hungry. I am so hungry." Chapter 381. Clever Mrs. Zheng, Meeting the Parents One by One, revised, _3. Lin Fang's expression quickly turned intolerant, cursing and walking into the house. "Hungry, hungry, always hungry. You old hag, didn't you just eat this morning?" The room was a storeroom, filled with a strange smell and assorted items. On a bed in the corner lay a skeletal old woman. Although the old woman was feeble, her eyes were exceptionally spirited. "Hungry. I am hungry." Lin Fong picked up a cold, hard steamed bun and threw it at the old woman's head. "Eat up. You old hag. Poisonous woman, loose woman. You killed my son. You will not have a peaceful death." The old woman glared at Lin Fong, her eyes seemingly ready to devour. "You old hag. All you can do is eat and talk." Lin Fong grabbed the steamed bun and shoved it into the old woman's mouth. If it wasn't for concern about her own reputation, Lin Fong would have gotten rid of this old hag long ago. Lin Fong warned, "You old hag, if you dare to create any more trouble, watch how I deal with you." Lying paralyzed on the bed, the old woman was a helpless target for Lin Fang's numerous ways of torment. At these words, the old woman dared not say anything more. Lin Fong turned and walked back to the living room. Chang Yu voiced her concerns. "Mom, what will happen to that old lady if you marry into the Shangguan family?" Lin Fong responded, "Don't worry about that. Mom will find a way." "Oh." Chang Yu nodded. Mo family. After Mo Qixin returned, he told Grandma Mo about Enai Yang's visit the next day. Upon hearing this, Grandma Mo excitedly asked, "Really? You're not picking on me, are you?" Mo Qixin chuckled. "Do you think I am teasing you? Good. This is great." Grandma Emo exclaimed. I must start preparing now. By the way, what does the young lady like to eat? After thinking for a while, Emo-chishin replied. She prefers spicy food and also fruit. Like grapes and lychees, for instance. Grapes, lychees? These fruits were out of season, causing a bit of a dilemma for Grandma Emo. To get these fruits, they would have to be sourced from outside. Given the inefficient transportation of the times, a round trip would take at least a week. You naughty boy. Why didn't you mention this yesterday? It's already dark now. Where am I supposed to get these fruits? Grandma Emo complained to Emo-chishin. Emo-chishin replied. Mom, don't worry, I've already prepared these fruits. Now just go and get a good night's sleep, and greet your future daughter-in-law with your best spirit tomorrow. You naughty boy. Grandma Emo playfully slapped Emo-chishin. Emo-chishin continued. I'm going to my room now. Off with you. Good night, Mom. Emo-chishin waved at Grandma Emo. After leaving the room, Emo-chishin immediately went upstairs to share the good news with Grandpa Emo. Upon hearing the news, Grandpa Emo exclaimed, Really? Which poor girl has our naughty boy bewitched? Despite referring to it as a bewitchment, the smile on Grandpa Mo's face couldn't be hidden. Initially, Grandpa Emo had been worried that Emo-chishin wouldn't be able to overcome the shadow of his broken engagement. Grandma Emo smiled and said, I don't know either, and our naughty boy stubbornly refuses to spill any beans. But it doesn't matter, since we will see the girl tomorrow anyway. Grandpa Emo put down the brush in his hand. As it's the girl's first visit, we must not neglect the preparations. Go and tell Ping Ping and Bai Chuan. I want everyone to be home tomorrow. Grandma Emo nodded. You're right. I'll go and inform Chuan Chuan and the others now. With a pleased smile, Grandma Emo went to Emo Baichuan's room. Next, Grandma Emo called Lin Ping Ping. After learning the entire situation, Lin Ping Ping hesitated and said, Aunt, considering that I'm divorced, will the girl's family feel uncomfortable if I attend such an important occasion? Grandma Emo responded, You silly girl. What time are we living in that you still have such thoughts? Divorce? So what? Divorce is not a disgrace. By coming, you're showing respect to the girl's family, and also helping to keep an eye on things. Upon hearing this, Lin Ping Ping agreed. Bright and early the next day, Emo-chishin woke up. He opened his wardrobe, debating on what to wear, trying on outfit after outfit without satisfaction. Finally, he decided on his frequently worn white shirt. Chapter 382. Clever Mrs. Zheng, meeting the parents one by one revised _4. After choosing his clothes, he carefully shaved off his stubble, meticulously washed his face, and finally headed downstairs. When he reached the ground floor, Mr. and Mrs. Emo were sitting on the sofa reading the newspaper. Old Six, you're up. I was just about to wake you, they said. Mom, Dad, have you eaten yet? Your dad and I already ate. We left breakfast for you on the table. The quicker you consume it, the sooner you can go pick up your bride. Okay. Emo-chishin picked up a meat bun saying, I'm leaving now. After Emo-chishin left, Mrs. Emo fell into a state of anxiety. Husband, do I look good in this outfit? Is it acceptable? In anticipation of meeting her future daughter-in-law, Mrs. Emo was dressed exceptionally formal today. Mr. Emo, without lifting his gaze from the newspaper, said, The young lady is dating old Six. What's the use of you looking good? Mrs. Emo replied, I want to make a good impression on her. Emo-chishin cycled to the Enai family's courtyard. When he arrived, Enai Yang was in the living room having a meal. Xiaomo's here. Enai Tsuehua urged. Yang, hurry up and eat. Okay. Enai Yang managed a garbled agreement while still eating porridge. Emo-chishin said, No worries, Auntie, there's no rush. We still have plenty of time. Enai Tsuehua laughed and said, Little Emo, have you eaten yet? If not, you can eat with us. The pan-fried dumplings this morning were hand-wrapped by Yang herself. Emo-chishin politely said, Thank you, Auntie, but I've already eaten. Enai Yang lifted her eyes towards Emo-chishin. Brother Emo, why so shy? Enai Tsuehua handed him a fresh pair of chopsticks and a bowl. We are all family, little Emo. There's no need to be formal. Emo-chishin stood up, accepting the bowl and chopsticks with both hands. Thank you, Auntie. In a little while, Anna Young put down her bowl and chopsticks, then said, Brother Mo, take your time. I'm going to change. Okay. Mo Chishan nodded. Somehow his face suddenly flushed. For some inexplicable reason, he felt a little warm. Within a short time, Anna Young emerged from her room fully dressed. However, Mo Chishan was not in the living room. Where is he? Anna Young raised her eyebrows slightly. Just then, there was a sound from the kitchen. Anna Young went to see and found Mo Chishan washing dishes in the kitchen. He was slightly bent down, fully concentrated, and hadn't even noticed Anna Yang's arrival. His rolled-up sleeves revealed the strong, fair wrists. His hands were slender, with clear, pronounced veins, a hand model's delight, tempting one to touch. In this era, unlike future generations, men tended to be chauvinistic, believing that kitchen chores were women's work. But he looked completely at ease doing them. He really knew how to put on a show. Anna Young approached him with a light smile. Brother Mo, pretty impressive. Mo Chishan responded with a grin. Thank you for the compliment, boss. Also, this cheongsam you're wearing is really beautiful. You're like change from the Moon Palace. Anna Young was wearing a cheongsam she brought back from F country. The pale yellow cheongsam accentuated her already fair skin, making it look as delicate as a peeled eggshell. The cheongsam was embroidered with lifelike peonies, which were typically known as the king of flowers, and were known for their ability to enliven Beijing when they bloom. However, with the cheongsam on Anna Yang, the peonies seemed to lose their shine. Anna Yang's eyes twinkled. I see you're still good with your sweet talk. After washing the last dish, Mo Chishan leaned towards Anna Yang and said, Would you like to taste how sweet? Anna Yang was shocked, her cheeks instantly turning a deep shade of red. She glared at him. Shameless. She quickly realized that Mo Chishan, the loathsome man, was becoming increasingly flirtatious. Anna Yang even began to suspect that Mo Chishan's initial innocent demeanor was just a ploy to beguile her. Mo Chishan gazed at her, seemingly lost in thought for a moment. My God! His bride looked beautiful even when she was angry. Anna Yang ignored him and walked out of the kitchen. Mo Chishan immediately followed her out. Anai Tsuehua brought out a prepared gift for Anna Yang. Yang, you should bring this. Okay. Anna Yang reached out for it. Mo Chishan said, Auntie, you really don't have to. Anai Tsuehua smiled and said, This is Yang Yang's first time visiting your home as your girlfriend. It's a basic courtesy. Xiaoma, if you don't accept it, you'll get upset. Mo Chishan chuckled. Auntie, thank you. Anai Tsuehua said, Why are you still being so formal with me, little Mo? Alright, you two should get going. Don't keep your family waiting. Chapter 383. Clever Mrs. Zheng, meeting the parents one by one revised _5. Alright, Auntie, goodbye. Goodbye. Anai Tsuehua waved her hand. Mo Chishan was still riding on that bicycle. Anna Yang was sitting at the front. It wasn't that Mo Chishan didn't want to drive over, but that he enjoyed this feeling. The Mo family. The elderly Mr. and Mrs. Mo had been eagerly awaiting for quite a while. Just then, the butler, with binoculars in hand, rushed downstairs from the floor above. They're here. Master, madam, the sixth young master is biking over. Old Madam Mo excitedly said. Really? The butler nodded. Yes, they're already at the intersection now. Old Madam Mo turned her head and directed her gaze at Master Mo. Come on, dear, let's hurry out to meet them. Old Master Mo responded nervously. Wait a moment. What's wrong? Old Madam Mo looked at Master Mo impatiently. If you have something to say, say it quickly. She was eager to meet her future daughter-in-law. Master Mo continued. This outfit of mine, does it look all right? In a rather disgusted tone, Old Madam Mo said. The young girl is dating our sixth son, not you. What use is there for you to look so presentable? Master Mo. What goes around comes around indeed. Old Madam Mo continued. Butler, go upstairs and call for Ping Ping and Chuan Chuan. After all, this is the young laddie's first time visiting us. We must not neglect our etiquette. The butler responded. All right, I will go right away. Master and Madam Mo headed towards the door. Both of them waited with bated breath. Why haven't they arrived yet? Didn't the butler just say they were here? Yeah. Why aren't they here yet? Both elders were getting anxious. Just then, they could finally see the silhouette of a person riding a bicycle within their line of sight. Getting closer and closer. Old Madame Emo excitedly said, "They're here." Old Master Emo squinted his eyes and said, "Why does this young lady look somewhat familiar?" It was only when Emo Chishin introduced Enai Yang to the old couple that they finally reacted. "Mom, Dad, let me introduce you to my girlfriend Enai Yang." Enai Yang greeted them with a smile. "Aunt Emo, Uncle Emo." "What?" Both Old Master and Old Madame Emo glanced at each other, surprise written all over their faces. Old Madame Emo was the first to come back to her senses, gripping Enai Yang's hands and asking, "Yang Yang, you're not joking with me, are you? Did Emo Chishin really manage to win her over?" This felt more like a dream. It was so unbelievable. Enai Yang responded, "Auntie Emo, do I look like I'm joking?" Old Madame Emo shook her head. "No, not at all." Oh my. Who would have thought? Emo Chishin really won over Enai Yang. A thing even she didn't dare to dream of. Old Madame Emo was on top of the world with her excitement. She even felt the urge to break into song. Master Emo finally responded, "Yang Yang, come in and sit. Come in." Emo Chishin held Enai Yang's hand, and the two of them entered the grand doors of the Emo family together. As soon as they entered, they encountered Lin Pingping and Emo Baichuan, who were descending from the upper floor. The two of them were completely taken aback. Nobody had expected that the visitor would have been Enai Yang. Lin Pingping quickly came over to Enai Yang. "Oh my God! Yang Yang, brother six, what's this?" Emo Chishin smiled and said, "Sister, Yang Yang and we're together now." Lin Pingping was speechless for a long while. Emo Baichuan, who followed behind, directly froze in place. He never thought that Enai Yang would actually be with that good-for-nothing Emo Chishin. What is Enai Yang trying to do? What's Enai Yang really up to? Is she still trying to get his attention? By getting close to Emo Chishin, and having the chance to get close to him? Emo Chishin looked up at Emo Baichuan. "Nephew, aren't you going to greet your future aunt?" Emo Baichuan had a stiff expression on his face. "Chuan Chuan," Old Madame Emo gently reminded, scared he might offend Enai Yang again. Emo Baichuan walked up to Enai Yang. "Aunt Six." Was Enai Yang trying to provoke him? Then he's also going to provoke Enai Yang a little bit. He just wanted to see how Enai Yang would respond to his mention of Aunt Six. Enai Yang responded ambiguously with a smile. "My big nephew." Emo Baichuan's face was turning an unsightly hue. Enai Yang did dare to. She really did dare to. Did she think that by doing so, he would think highly of her? No way. Never. Emo Hudi walked into the house from outside. Upon seeing Enai Yang, she was so excited that she hugged Enai Yang and said, "Sister Enai Yang, when did you arrive?" Chapter 384. Clever Mrs. Zheng, meeting the parents one by one revised _6. Old Mrs. Emo said cheerfully, "Shouda, you can't call Enai Yang sister Enai Yang anymore." "Why?" Emo Hudi asked curiously. Emo Chishin squatted down, looking at Emo Hudi. "Because Sister Enai Yang is now your uncle's girlfriend." Emo Hudi exclaimed, "Really?" Emo Chishin nodded. Emo Hudi continued, "Uncle, I knew you had a thing for Sister Enai Yang." Emo Chishin. Emo Hudi added, "So does that mean Sister Enai Yang will be my future auntie?" "Yes." Emo Chishin nodded. Emo Hudi looked at Enai Yang. "Auntie, if my uncle dares to bully you, just tell me. I will kick his ass for you." Enai Yang laughed and pinched Emo Hudi's face. "Okay." Emo Baichuan's face got darker. He turned around and walked toward the door. Old Mrs. Emo asked, "Chuan Chuan, where are you going?" "To pick up my girlfriend." Emo Baichuan responded without turning back. He was really curious to see if Enai Yang could hold her breath. Old Mrs. Emo wondered aloud, when did this boy get a girlfriend? Old Mr. Emo said, "Don't worry about him." Then he lovingly looked at Enai Yang saying, "Yang Yang, come and sit here. Uncle Six got a lot of your favorite fruits yesterday." Old Mrs. Emo chimed in, Yes, Yang Yang, come here." The two elders seemed like they would give Enai Yang anything good from their house. They showered Enai Yang with affection. their eyes practically blossoming with flowers. Old Mrs. Mo handed an Young a peeled lychee. Yang, here, eat more lychees. They're sweet. These grapes are also delicious. Uncle Six, quickly peel some for Yang. Old man, go cut a fruit plate for Yang. There are watermelons and mangoes in the kitchen. Mo Chishan. He felt a little left out as a son. A black jeep stopped in front of the girls' dormitory. Mo Baichuan, frosty and cool, got out of the driver's seat, ignored the men's stop sign and went straight into the dormitory. Mo Baichuan was tall and handsome. His appearance drew the admiration and attention of many girls wherever he walked. Mo Baichuan pushed the dormitory door open. Li Xianxian was writing an essay on the table when she was startled by the sudden noise. Who? When she looked up and saw the handsome face of Mo Baichuan, the word "a" caught in her throat. Baichuan. Li Xianxian looked at him with surprise. How come you're here? Mo Baichuan pulled Li Xianxian up. Li Xianxian, don't you want to be my girlfriend? Ah. Li Xianxian blushed. I'm asking you, do you want to be my girlfriend? Mo Baichuan asked again. Li Xianxian suppressed her excitement. Baichuan, why are you asking me this? Was Mo Baichuan confessing his love to her? The day she had been waiting for, had it finally arrived? Li Xianxian felt that her heart was leaping out of her chest. Mo Baichuan repeated impatiently, I ask you, do you want to be my girlfriend? Li Xianxian knew Mo Baichuan too well. She knew that he was not a man of sentimentality. He was aloof and not good at expressing feelings. It was already a big step for him to have come this far. So she had to seize this opportunity. Yes. Li Xianxian bashfully nodded her head. Mo Baichuan was satisfied and said, Good, I'll give you the chance to be my girlfriend right now. Really? Li Xianxian felt as if her heart was no longer her own. She was finally waiting for this day. Mo Baichuan continued, Go change your clothes now. Li Xianxian was a bit taken back. Ha! Change your clothes. Mo Baichuan said, Put on your prettiest outfit. Was this a date? Li Xianxian was excited. Okay. Wait for me, Baichuan. Mo Baichuan's face remained expressionless. I'll wait for you downstairs. Okay. Li Xianxian nodded excitedly. Mo Baichuan turned around and walked downstairs. Li Xianxian opened her wardrobe, selected her best dress, sat in front of the makeup table, and began to paint her eyebrows and do her makeup carefully. Her roommate, Zhang Yingying, came in from outside and said excitedly, Xianxian, I saw a certain someone's car downstairs. Is Mr. Mo waiting for you? Li Xianxian was a little embarrassed. You figured me out. Zhang Yingying was curious. Xianxian, are you and Mr. Mo together now? Li Xianxian bashfully nodded. He just confessed his feelings to me. Really? Zhang Yingying exclaimed with envy. Really? Li Xianxian put down the eyeshadow. I can't talk anymore. I need to go. Baichuan is still waiting downstairs for me. Okay, go ahead. Li Xianxian was a talented woman, and Mo Baichuan was a big shot. They were absolutely perfect together. It wasn't long before Li Xianxian came to the bottom of the building. Mo Baichuan was sitting tight behind the wheel, his face tense. Seeing Li Xianxian getting into the car, he said, Buckle up. All right. Li Xianxian lowered her head to fasten her seatbelt. The black jeep sped along. As the road became more and more familiar, she asked, Baichuan, where are you taking me? Mo Baichuan replied, Back to my house. Back to his house? Was this getting serious? Li Xianxian was stunned. Having visited the Mo family on numerous occasions, this time felt different. She was going as Baichuan's girlfriend. Li Xianxian said hesitantly, Should I prepare any gifts? Are Uncle Mo and Auntie Mo at home? Mo Baichuan's parents didn't live in Beijing, but at their old house in Jiangnan. They only came back occasionally during the holidays. Right now, only my grandparents are at home. Oh. Li Xianxian nodded. Li Xianxian wasn't too worried about Mo's grandparents as they were quite fond of her. What she was worried about were Mo Kishan's parents. After all, the last time she left an impression on Mo Baichuan's parents, it was not particularly good. With Mo Baichuan driving rapidly, it wasn't long before they arrived at the Mo's household. When they got out of the car, Mo Baichuan held onto Li Xiangxian's arm. Let's go in. Okay. Li Xianxian nodded. The living room was bustling with activity. Yet Li Xianxian did not feel any warmth from the Mo family. Li Xianxian squinted her eyes slightly. Mo Baichuan pulled Li Xianxian in front of everyone, formally announcing, Grandpa, Grandma, Uncle 6, Cousin and future Aunt 6, let me introduce you. This is my girlfriend, Li Xianxian. Chapter 385, Jealous, eh? Go take the exam. _1 Upon hearing this, there was some silence in the living room. Although Grandpa Mo and Grandma Mo had hoped that Mo Baichuan and Li Xianxian could get together in the past, they were disappointed by Li Xiangxian's recent behavior. Especially after the incident about the gift dress was exposed by Grandma Zheng. Mo Rongping and Xiao Jiao had gone out of their way to discuss this matter with Grandpa Mo and Grandma Mo. They felt that Li Xianxian was too vain and did not match up with Mo Baichuan. Consequently, Grandpa Mo and Grandma Mo had given up the idea of setting the two of them up. Unexpectedly, when they had tried to pair these two in the past, they had not gotten together, but now that they left them alone, they had unexpectedly ended up together. What's going on? Grandpa Mo and Grandma Mo looked at each other and saw the dilemma in each other's eyes. A flicker of displeasure flashed in Li Xiangxian's eyes, but was quickly gone. What kind of reaction was that from Grandpa and Grandma Mo? Didn't they like her a lot before? And what about Enai Yang? How did Mo Baichuan introduce her just now? Enai Yang was going to be his future aunt? Could it be that Enai Yang really had gotten together with Mo Qishan? She didn't know if Enai Yang was really with Mo Qishan, or if it was just a trick to attract Mo Baichuan. After all, Enai Yang could get closer to Mo Baichuan through Mo Qishan. No, she could not let her guard down. As long as Enai Yang was alive, she would not find peace. Li Xianxian suppressed her thoughts and said softly, Hello, Grandpa and Grandma, Aunt, Uncle, future aunt. Grandma Mo was the first to react and said with a smile, Xianxian, sit down, don't be shy. Thank you, Grandma. Li Xianxian sat down on the sofa. Mo Baichuan also sat down at the same time. His gaze unconsciously swept over Enai Yang, trying to find any clues. Unfortunately, there weren't any. Even when he publicly declared Li Xianxian as his girlfriend in front of Enai Yang, she didn't show any special expressions. What did Enai Yang want to do? Was she putting on a show for him? Mo Baichuan clenched his fists, his lowered eyelids hiding the emotions in his eyes. Li Xianxian gently laid her hand on Mo Baichuan's, looked over at Enai Yang, and a hint of triumphant smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. So what if Enai Yang had her eyes on Mo Baichuan? The one who got Mo Baichuan in the end was her. She would absolutely not let anyone take Mo Baichuan away from her. Grandma Mo continued, Xianxian, you can eat any fruit you like. Don't be shy. While saying this, Grandma Mo handed a peeled tangerine to Enai Yang. Enai Yang smiled and took it. Thank you, Aunt Mo. Li Xiangxian's face looked a bit unpleasant. She felt that Enai Yang had taken away the treatment she deserved. After all, before Enai Yang arrived, she was the apple of Grandma Mo's eye, and Grandma Mo would love to give her all the goodness of the world. You little bitch. Just as Enai Yang finished eating the tangerine, Mo Qishan handed her a peeled lychee. How about another lychee? Enai Yang shook her head. I'd like to eat some grapes. All right. Mo Qishan nodded, picked up a grape, and carefully peeled it. A moment later, Mo Qishan offered the peeled grape to Enai Yang. Enai Yang took the grape with her mouth. Her red lips accidentally brushed his finger, and the slightly cool contact felt like an electric shock. Mo Qishan's ears turned a shade of red as he stared at her moist lips covered with grape juice. He was suddenly seized by an impulse to kiss her. They must be sweeter than grapes. The grape had seeds. As Enai Yang was about to spit out the seed, Mo Qishan reached out his hand. Just spit it on my hand. Looking at Mo Qishan, then at Mo Baichuan beside her, Li Xianxian felt that Enai Yang was overly dramatic and showed too much. Just because Mo Qishan likes her, she started acting arrogantly and forgot who she really was. Women should naturally serve men, but Enai Yang, on the contrary, let men serve her. She has no sense of propriety. Li Xianxian picked up a banana, peeled it, and handed it to Mo Baichuan. Baichuan, eat the banana. Without comparison, there is no harm. She wanted everyone to see how virtuous and good she was. What did An Yang have to compare with her? Mo Baichuan took a bite, his eyes hiding a dangerous glint, because the scene in front of him was too glaring. He didn't know why he cared so much about An Yang. Undoubtedly, An Yang was deliberately putting on a show for him, but he still couldn't help feeling angry and upset. Chapter 386. Jealous, go take the exam. Underscoring. No way. Why should he be the only one suffering? He wanted An Yang to taste this feeling too. He didn't believe that An Yang would remain indifferent after seeing how good he was to Li Xianxian. He would make An Yang show her true colors and bow her arrogant head to him. The taste is good. Mo Baichuan gave Li Xianxian a small smile. I'm glad you like it. Li Xianxian bashfully asked. Baichuan, would you like some water? Mo Baichuan nodded. Li Xianxian held the cup to Mo Baichuan's mouth, gently reminding him. Drink slowly, be careful, it's hot. The expressions of Mr. and Mrs. Mo were somewhat complicated. The atmosphere was warm before Li Xianxian came. However, when Mo Baichuan brought Li Xianxian, the atmosphere changed. It felt strange. There was an indescribable feeling. Mo Qixin turned to An Yang. Yang, want to visit my room? Okay. An Yang nodded. After bidding farewell to Mr. and Mrs. Mo Qixin led An Yang upstairs. Mo Baichuan watched their departing figures, veins pulsating on the back of his hand. Li Xianxian's glance slid across Mo Baichuan's hand. A hint of a sinister light flashed in her eyes. Baichuan. Mr. Mo stood up. Come with me. All right, Grandpa. Mo Baichuan got up and followed Mr. Mo. Mrs. Mo looked at Li Xianxian and said, Xianxian, I'm going to check the kitchen. Grandma'll go with you. Li Xianxian dutifully supported Mrs. Mo's arm. The chefs in the kitchen were busy, the air filled with a tantalizing aroma. To welcome An Yang, the Mo family had specifically invited a world-renowned chef. Seeing all this, Li Xianxian felt overwhelmed. She didn't expect that Mr. and Mrs. Mo seemed colder towards her on the surface, but in secret, they prepared all this extravagantly. They even invited an internationally renowned chef. Of course, the Mo family couldn't have arranged this alone. This had to be Mo Baichuan's doing. After all, the power of Mr. Mog in Beijing is unparalleled. Just thinking about becoming Mrs. Mog, Li Xianxian felt incredibly honored. Mrs. Mo chuckled. Remember to add more chili when you cook. Li Xianxian was puzzled. Grandma, don't you and Grandpa dislike spicy food? To cater to the tastes of the Mo family, Li Xianxian had long adjusted her diet to be less spicy. Mrs. Mo smiled. Yang likes it. Yang likes it? The chef invited by Mo Baichuan, cooking dishes that An Yang likes? Was Mrs. Mo forgetting who the guest of honor is? This is too outrageous. She is clearly Mo Baichuan's official girlfriend. Yet An Yang is receiving treatment that was originally intended for her. Li Xianxian discreetly furrowed her brows, jealousy seeping from her eyes. What on earth was Mrs. Mo thinking? Had she lost her mind? Upstairs in the study, the atmosphere was somewhat stifling. Mr. Mo stood in front of his desk. Baichuan, what's going on with you and Xianxian? Mo Baichuan replied. Li Xianxian is my girlfriend now. Isn't that what you and Grandma have always wanted? Mr. Mo continued. Baichuan, your grandmother and I have talked about this. We had mistaken judgment before. Xianxian is not right for you. Why won't you listen? Mr. and Mrs. Mo had discussed this issue with Mo Baichuan before. Mo Baichuan didn't react much at the time. Little did they expect that in just a few months, Mo Baichuan and Li Xianxian would end up together. Mo Baichuan responded, Grandpa, I'm a human being, not an object. I can't control my emotions. I can't just like someone because you want me to. Li Xianxian and I have spent a lot of time together. Certain things are beyond my control now. These words seemed like his true feelings, but at the same time felt casually tossed out. It was hard to tell what was true and what was false. Mr. Mo sighed. Regarding this matter, your grandma and I are also to blame. We shouldn't have interfered with matters of the heart. Baichuan, you're a smart boy. Think about this carefully. From our observations over this period, Xianxian isn't as simple as we initially thought. Mo Baichuan replied. Grandpa, I'm afraid I might disappoint you this time because I truly like Li Xianxian. Chapter 387. Feeling jealous, huh? Go take the exam. _3. Subconsciously, as Mo Baichuan spoke, an image of a face as beautiful as a blooming flower appeared in his mind. It was Anai Yang. Mo Baichuan had met many girls, but their spirits were all the same, including Li Xianxian's. Only Anai Yang was different. Even knowing that Anai Yang was deliberately playing hard to get, he was still attracted to her. Although he didn't want to admit it, that was the truth. So everything he was doing now was to provoke Anai Yang and cause her to lose her footing. Old Master Mo helplessly shook his head. Is there really no room for reversal in this matter? No. Mo Baichuan shook his head resolutely. Old Master Mo sighed. Mo Baichuan continued. Grandpa, you have such a strong objection to Li Xianxian. Why don't you have any objections to Anai Yang? Although Li Xianxian was dull, she was at least sincere, brave enough to face her own feelings. Unlike Anai Yang, who was inscrutable and manipulative. Old Master Mo frowned slightly. Yang is a good girl. As a junior, you are not allowed to disrespect your elders. Although Anai Yang was younger, but since she was with Mo Qixin, she was indeed an elder to Mo Baichuan. Mo Baichuan retorted. Where do you see her as a good girl? Baichuan. Old Master Mo said with a heavier tone. Mo Baichuan, feeling an injustice, continued. Grandpa, Anai Yang isn't as simple as you think. Let me tell you the truth, when I was on a mission in Dam Village, I met her once. After that, she chased me all the way to Beijing. In the end, she won your and Grandma's favor. Actually, she was always scheming, trying every means to get close to me. The reason she is with my uncle this time is also because of me. Otherwise, why would you think Anai Yang would be interested in my uncle? Mo Qixin was just a good-for-nothing pretty boy, who was even dumped once. Anyone with a bit of common sense wouldn't be interested in him. Therefore, the reason why Anai Yang was with Mo Qixin was definitely to get closer to him. Old Master Mo frowned deeper. He was not a fool. He knew Anai Yang was not the kind of person Mo Baichuan said she was. Also, the feelings between Mo Qixin and Anai Yang were not faked. Due to Mo Rongping and Xiao Jiao's busy professional schedules, Mo Baichuan was raised by his grandparents since childhood. Mo Baichuan was a very sensible child, much more so than most of his peers. But this time, Mo Baichuan had really disappointed Old Master Mo nonsense. Old Master Mo rebuked angrily. Yang is not the kind of person you say she is. Baichuan, you've gone too far. Baichuan, do you have any kind of filial piety left in you? Grandpa, I'm not talking nonsense. Mo Baichuan replied. It's you who can't see the reality. You insolent brat. Old Master Mo, feeling frustrated, ordered, kneel down. Mo Baichuan knelt down with a thud. Old Master Mo picked up a family discipline tool and severely spanked Mo Baichuan's back. This is for your lack of respect. This is for your inability to distinguish right from wrong. This is for your arrogance. Baichuan, do you acknowledge your mistake now? Old Master Mo did not hold back. Each blow left a deep red mark. Mo Baichuan didn't even wrinkle his brow. I'm not wrong. Have you or have you not made a mistake? Old Master Mo increased his efforts with his hand. I'm not wrong. A layer of sweat appeared on Mo Baichuan's forehead. Mo Baichuan. Old Master Mo ground his teeth and threw away the family discipline tool. Mo Baichuan got up from the ground. Grandpa, it's understandable that you would favor your son, and I don't blame you. But one day you will know that the person who is wrong is not me, but you. Upon hearing this, Old Master Mo almost had a stroke. You insolent fool, do you even know what you are saying? Old Master Mo massaged his temples. Mo Baichuan looked at Old Master Mo. You know what kind of reputation my uncle has outside. How can you believe that Anai Yang would be interested in him? Although Mo Qixin was incompetent, he was still an elder to Mo Baichuan. Regardless, Mo Baichuan should not speak to Mo Qixin in this manner. Get out. Old Master Mo pointed to the door. Get out. Mo Baichuan bowed slightly, speaking respectfully. Grandpa, if there's nothing else, I'll be leaving first. Chapter 388. Jealous? Go take the exam. _4. Mo Baichuan nonchalantly left the study. Downstairs in the living room, Li Xianxian was helping old lady Mo walk out of the kitchen. Back to Enai Yang and Mo Qixin's rooms. A lot of time has passed, and I still don't know what Enai Yang and Mo Qixin are up to in their rooms. Mo Baichuan gripped the stair railing tighter, his gaze leading across the way. It landed on Mo Qixin's bedroom. Mo Qixin's bedroom was decorated cozily. Mo Qixin was introducing each item to Enai Yang. Yang, this is my elementary school graduation photo. This one is from junior high. The pictures from that era were all black and white, but it was clear that Mo Qixin's face was extraordinarily juvenile, much smaller than the classmates he stood with. Brother Mo, did you start school really early? Mo Qixin replied. Probably because I skipped several grades, so I seemed younger than my classmates. Enai Yang nodded. I never realized. You're really quite smart. Mo Qixin stroked his chin and confessed unabashedly. If I weren't smart, how could I have pursued you? Stay humble, stay humble. Enai Yang laughed lightly. Mo Qixin then brought out a small wooden box. These are the marbles I used to play with when I was little. Marbles, also known as glass balls. Typically, boys played with them more. Enai Yang took the small wooden box, squatted on the floor, and flicked the marbles out. I used to play with these when I was a kid too. They should be played like this. Mo Qixin took out a marble and gently flicked it. Pop. The two marbles collided, making a crisp sound. Impressive. Enai Yang extended a thumbs up toward him. The two of them had great fun, and soon, small marbles were scattered all over the room. Mo Qixin's room was filled with various little trinkets, even including a game console that could be connected to a TV. This game console was the first generation produced by Nintendo. It is called the Famicom, and was released in early 1983. It was not easy to get hold of one in those days. Not only did one need money, but also connections. Enai Yang hadn't seen such an old game console in a long time, so she couldn't help but touch it a few more times. Mo Qixin said, Yang, want to play a couple of games together? Sure. Mo Qixin turned on the game console, connected it to the TV, and started showing Enai Yang how to play the game. It was actually a very simple game of Super Mario. Enai Yang had played this game in her previous life, so she understood how to play it as soon as Mo Qixin showed her. The two of them had no communication barriers. Mo Qixin looked at Enai Yang with admiration. How was his wife so clever? She picks up things at the drop of a hat. They were playing a two-person game of Super Mario. It was perfect for them to play together. As the familiar game music sounded, Enai Yang began to operate the game controller. Brother Mo, there's a mushroom above the question mark. Hit it. Hurry up and eat it. Beware of the brick. Oh no. Brother Mo, you're so dumb. Although Super Mario was simple, it was far more interesting than the game, agricultural chemical of later generations. Laughter echoed in the room. Mo Qixin looked at Enai Yang's focused profile, and his deep eyes were filled with her reflection. Brother Mo, you died again. You're just too stupid. Mo Qixin touched his nose looking innocent. It's not my fault. Then whose fault is it? Enai Yang raised an eyebrow. Mo Qixin looked at her and said, I was just distracted. And why would you be so eloquent? Enai Yang pinched his left cheek, her eyes glowing with laughter. Just then a knock came from outside the door. Little Six, bring Yang down for dinner. Okay, we're coming. Mo Qixin responded. Shall we go, Yang? Enai Yang nodded. The two of them got up to leave the room. The floor was littered with marbles. Enai Yang didn't pay attention and stepped on one. Instantly, she lost her balance and fell forward uncontrollably. Luckily, Mo Qixin reacted quickly and reached out his hands to catch her. Unfortunately, he also stepped on a marble, and so they both ended up falling on the floor together. Thud. Enai Yang's teeth hit Mo Qixin's lips hard. Immediately, there was a taste of blood in their mouths. She was stunned. He was stunned. Mo Qixin's mind went blank. Did he just kiss his wife? So exciting. So thrilling. He wished he could just stay like this and never get up. Enai Yang was the first to react. Nervously she asked, Brother Mo, are you okay? Does it hurt? Chapter 389 Feeling jealous, huh? Go take the exam. _5. The hit she had given him earlier was unexpectedly hard, causing Mo Kishin's lower lip to swell and bleed. It doesn't hurt, not in the slightest, Mo Kishin said, with an indifferent expression on his face. Yang asked, does it really not hurt? Do you need to stop the bleeding? Or perhaps relieve the poison? No need, no need, Mo Kishin nonchalantly said. Let's go, our mom is already waiting for us downstairs. Are you sure you're all right? Yang was still slightly worried. I'm really all right. Mo Kishin held on to Yang's wrist and guided her downstairs. Downstairs in the restaurant, everyone was gathered. Madame Mo's eyes, expressionless and still, traveled back and forth between the two before settling on Mo Kishin's lips, a smile hidden in her gaze. Mo Hudi curiously asked, Little uncle, what happened to your mouth? Hearing this, everyone looked towards Mo Kishin. Mo Baichuan's face darkened immediately. Was Yang purposely provoking him? She was absolutely out of line. Mo Kishin explained, I accidentally bumped into the wall when coming downstairs. This explanation was worse than offering none. Could you hurt yourself this severely from just bumping into a wall? It was more like he was trying to cover up the fact. Mo Hudi, still an innocent child, nodded and said, Ooh, you need to be careful next time, little uncle. Yang's face turned slightly red as she silently sipped her juice. Mo Kishin peeled some crab meat and placed it into Yang's bowl. Yang, would you like to dip it in vinegar? Just a little. Midway through the meal, Yang excused herself to go to the bathroom. Just after she left, Mo Baichuan immediately followed suit. Yang had just left the restroom when she found her path obstructed by a tall figure. Yang, uninterested in dealing with him, planned to walk around him, but Mo Baichuan blocked her again. A good dog does not block the way, Yang said with a slight frown. Yang, just what are you trying to do? Are you out of your mind? Mo Baichuan then said. I want you to leave my sixth uncle immediately. Yang responded speechless. Mo Baichuan, is that how you speak to your future sixth aunt? Mo Baichuan replied. Yang, you have successfully gotten my attention. Yang hadn't expected that even up till now, Mo Baichuan would still think she was playing hard to get. She had already explained everything clearly. She didn't know where Mo Baichuan's sense of superiority came from. Move aside, Yang said, tired of dealing with him. Yang, Mo Baichuan reached out to stop her. Yang quickly used a grappling technique to throw Mo Baichuan to the ground, and said from a higher position, Mo Baichuan, just how many times do I have to tell you? I have no interest in you. When will you get that through your head? Mo Baichuan looked at Yang, a complex emotion silently brewing in his eyes. Yang, was she faking it? At this moment, Mo Baichuan began to feel unsure. Yang turned around and headed back to the restaurant. Back at the table, Madame Mo and Sir Mo enthusiastically picked food for Yang. But Mo Kishin was unusually quiet. This was indeed abnormal. Big brother Mo, what's wrong? Under the table, Yang gently tickled Mo Kishin's palm with her pinky. Mo Kishin picked up a dish of vinegar from the table, downing it all in one go before looking at Yang with a wronged expression. Yang, I'm jealous. Yang had just left, and Mo Baichuan followed suit. Considering Mo Baichuan's unusual behavior today, it was hard not to let Mo Kishin overthink. Yang softly laughed. Big brother Mo, don't worry, I'll be able to explain everything clearly. Mo Kishin firmly held Yang's hand. The interaction between the two was all witnessed by Mo Baichuan, whose face turned even more unsightly. He willingly reached out to pick a dish for Li Xianxian. Li Xianxian had been having a tough time today at the Mo family. Madame Mo and Sir Mo had completely ignored her at the dinner table, continuously making small talk with Yang. But she was comforted by Mo Baichuan's act. His initiative in serving her food signified that he cared for her. After the meal, Mo Kishin escorted Yang home. Yang sat on the crossbar, leaning against Mo Kishin, as she explained how she became acquainted with Mo Baichuan. Yang detailed everything, And Mo Chishan listened attentively. So you're telling me that you met Mo Baichuan before you met me? Mo Chishan didn't add nephew when referring to Mo Baichuan, his face looking unpleasant. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't jealous. How could he not be jealous? He had never liked someone this much before. What's the point of meeting someone earlier? And Yang said with a smile. I knew Matzi from our village when we were still running around bare-bottomed. Chapter 390. Jealous. Go take the exam. _6. What? Mo Chishan slightly frowns. And Yang continued. Being bare-assed is just a metaphor, brother Mo. All you need to know is that when you met me has nothing to do with liking me or not. Speaking of that, your big nephew is really narcissistic. I think I was clear enough with him, yet he's still acting like that. And Yang couldn't help but complain. Mo Chishan's expression turned a bit cold. He's just too free. I think so too. And Yang went on. By the way, brother Mo, our house is going to be roofed on the 1st of next month. Do you want to come over? Roofing a house is significant, and Mo Chishan knows something about this tradition. I will definitely come for this important event in my wife's family. And Yang smiled. You scruffy thing, are you embarrassed? Mo Chishan sniffed the fresh scent from her hair. From now on, don't interact with Mo Baichuan anymore, and don't be alone with him. And Yang raised 3 fingers. I swear. Now that they'd spoken about their issues, the distance between them seemed to be a lot smaller. 3 days before the roofing, Yang went to school to participate in the entrance exam for senior year transfer students. Due to the recommendation from Jialan's husband, Yang was exempt from registration and came directly with a recommendation letter to take the exam. Yang took her introduction letter to the principal. Hello, Principal Zhao. I was introduced by Teacher Zhang, and I came to take the exam today. Principal Zhao took the introduction letter, secretly marveling at her. What a brilliant young lady. I wonder how her grades are. Presumably the grades aren't great, otherwise, Zhang Chong would have directly admitted her to his class. Why would he let her go through this roundabout process and come to take the exam? God is always fair. Gifted with a pretty face, she doesn't seem to be blessed with an interest in studying hard, however. After reading the introduction letter carefully, Principal Zhao cheerfully said, And Yang, right? You can go to the 1st floor of Building A for now. A teacher will arrange and distribute your admission tickets there. Okay, thank you, Principal. Yang bowed slightly, and then left the principal's office. Such a polite girl. Principal Zhao had a gratified expression in his eyes. Yang made her way to Building A. There were many people coming to take the exam, roughly 200 to 300. About 2/3 of them were locals, and the remaining third came from all over the country. Because she was here for the exam, Yang didn't wear a cheongsam, but put on a light blue shirt with opposite buttons and black wide-leg pants. Her age-appropriate vivacity shone through the simple outfit, without making her look too mature. She looked absolutely beautiful. Standing in the crowd, she attracted quite a few people's attention. A girl also there for the exam proactively greeted Yang. Hello, my name is Han Xiaoyu. Are you here for the exam too? Yang nodded. I am Yang. To Xiaoyu's surprise, Yang was very friendly. Xiaoyu went on. I heard this year's math and English exams are particularly hard. How was your home preparation? I'm so nervous. Xiaoyu anxiously wrung her hands. Yang smiled. Don't be nervous, just stay calm. Sometimes too much stress can lead to psychological pressure. Even a small issue will be magnified in your eyes. Yang's response was too calm. It didn't fit with kids of her age. Xiaoyu exclaimed. Yang, you're incredible. Your grades must be really good. Yang responded. Not as exaggerated as you say, I'm just pretty laid back. What does laid back mean? Xiaoyu asked, confused. Yang explained. Being laid back means you're okay with anything, you don't care about the results. Han Xiaoyu nodded, envious. Yang, I wish I could be like you. Yang went on. Don't overthink it. Don't put pressure on yourself. Let your brain relax completely. Just treat this exam as a normal one. Just then, an odd female voice arose from the side. You talk a good game. Just show us your real score if you're that capable. Sly Fox. Yang looked up and saw a tall girl. Han Xiaoyu tugged at Yang's sleeve. That's Yoshiyume. She's always sour and jealous if anyone looks better than her. Yang, just ignore her. Yang nodded, not paying any attention to Yoshiyume. She came here for the exam, not to pick fights. About 10 teachers came over after a while, distributing the admission tickets. The admission ticket displayed the exam room. By chance, Yang and Han Xiaoyu happened to be in the same room. The exam schedule was quite tight. Chinese, English, math, and history were in the morning. Politics, physics, chemistry, and biology were in the afternoon. The ringing of the exam bell plunged the room into an intense atmosphere, filled with the rustling sound of flipping pages. The exam papers of this era were manually printed, and there was a smell of ink in the air. Yang particularly enjoyed this smell. She took a deep breath, then started carefully filling in her name and student number. Then she began the exam. The Chinese exam was no challenge for her, since she was a patriotic person. She finished the 1-hour exam 25 minutes early. After finishing, she carefully checked again. Once confirmed there were no errors, she rested her hands on her forehead and closed her eyes, taking a quick nap. She had stayed up half the night reviewing for today's exam. Given that this was an exam, Yang dared not sleep openly. But the invigilation teacher's eyes were sharp. As teachers, they typically don't like students who lack ambition. Seeing Yang sleeping, they could only shake their heads helplessly. Kids these days, they're getting worse and worse. What's the name of that young lady sleeping there? The speaker was Zhang Chang, the husband of Jialan and Yang's recommender. Although he had written a recommendation letter for Yang, he had never met her, so it was normal for him not to recognize her. Another teacher said, I heard this young lady's name is Yang. Right, Zhang, isn't she recommended by you? Because Yang was beautiful, many teachers remembered her face. Is that Yang? Zhang Chang looked surprised. At the same time, he felt relief. He was glad he didn't admit Yang directly to his class. This would simply slow down the whole class and reduce the college admission rate. What a relief! Zhang Chang took a deep breath. How come? You don't even recognize the student you introduced. Zhang Chang said. To be honest, this girl was introduced by a friend of my wife's. I really don't know her. Zhang, it's a good thing you didn't let her directly into your class. Zhang Chang nodded. Isn't it? A teacher next to him chimed in. Can't deny it, the young girl is pretty beautiful, just that her study attitude seems a bit lacking. Chapter 391. The results are out. A slap in the face came so fast. _1 Zhang Chang said. This girl obviously doesn't have the temperament of a studious student. I guess my wife must have had a lapse in judgment this time. The other 2 teachers nearby nodded in agreement. She indeed doesn't seem to be the type. Another female teacher said, Don't judge a book by its cover. No one can fathom the vast ocean. Just because this girl is pretty doesn't imply she is poor in academics. Perhaps she had already finished her test paper before falling asleep? It's only been half an hour. Others barely have enough time, unless she's a prodigy. How many prodigies could there possibly be in this world? An hour of exam time quickly came to an end. The students sitting in the first row began collecting answer papers. Yang's seat happened to be in the middle. With a stack of papers in his hand, Zhang Chang contemplated pulling out Yang's sheet to have a look. However, he ditched the idea halfway. What was he thinking? He was actually harboring hope for a student who had slept during the exam. That was quite silly. Chuckling and shaking his head, Zhang Chang, together with some other teachers, took the answer papers to the staff room to be handed over to the teachers in charge of grading. The next exam was mathematics. Yang was a businesswoman. Math had always been her strong suit, so math didn't pose any difficulty for her. However, just as everyone claimed, each math question was indeed very tough. As soon as the exam ended, the air was filled with the sound of sighs. Yang, do you think the math paper was difficult? Han Xiaoyu walked over to Yang and asked with a worrisome expression. Yang gave a light smile, put away her stationery and replied, I think it was fine. How about you? What's your feel? Han Xiaoyu sighed. I am not sure either. And I Yang, shall we compare our answers? Sure. And I Yang nodded in agreement. Han Xiaoyu had written all her answers on a piece of scratch paper, comparing their answers for a while, and I Yang assured her, Xiaoyu, your answers are almost perfect. You really don't need to worry. Really? Han Xiaoyu asked in surprise. And I Yang nodded. However, I remember choosing C for this question. Was the answer to this question C? Han Xiaoyu scratched her head and continued, given the set A equals XX equals 2N, L, wasn't the answer supposed to be B? I also selected B for this question. Hearing both of them discussing it, the short-haired girl sitting in front of them turned around to join the discussion. And I Yang explained, this question is often mistakenly answered as B, probably due to a misunderstanding of the elements of the set. Set A represents the set of odd numbers, and set B equals 1, 2, 3, 4. Therefore, the correct answer should be C. The short-haired girl clutched her hair in regret. Oh my God! I didn't attempt the last question, and I got this question wrong too. I might fail. Seeing them discussing the exam question, a few others gathered around. Are you guys discussing the fifth question of multiple choice? Yes, Han Xiaoyu nodded and said, exactly, it's the fifth question. One of them frowned slightly and said, the correct answer to this question should be B, right? I also chose B. Me too. Almost everyone had chosen B for this question. Zhou Xuemei walked over with a sarcastic smile. The answer to this question is B. Some people deliberately pretend to know when they don't, and try to attract everyone's attention. I wonder what their intentions are. What intentions? Show-off intentions, of course. Just because she is pretty, she thinks the whole world should revolve around her. Zhou Xuemei despised this kind of siren the most. She could tell she's no good, pretending to know when she doesn't. And I Yang looked up with a smile. No matter what I say here, the truth is always more persuasive. Whether the correct answer is B or C, everyone will know when the results are out. She wasn't in a hurry to argue with everyone, maintaining her calm and composed demeanor throughout. Her serene and elegant personality strongly contrasted with the sarcastic Zhou Xuemei. Zhou Xuemei bit her lip resentfully. So you mean that all of us got it wrong and only you got it right? There were more than 30 people in the examination room. How could it be possible that only An I Yang got it right? An I Yang responded in a light tone. The results will be announced in 3 days. By then everyone will naturally see the answer. And what if you lose? Zhou Xuemei persisted. What do you think? An I Yang threw the question back at Zhou Xuemei. Zhou Xuemei puffed up her chest. If you lose, you will have to admit you were acting pretentious to gain attention, and you have to apologize to me. Agreed. An I Yang nodded, then asked counterintuitively, and what if you lose? Chapter 392. The results are out. A slap in the face came so fast. _2. Zhou Xuemei exclaimed. How could I possibly lose? An I Yang raised her eyebrows slightly. Does that mean you can't afford to lose? Absolutely not. Zhou Xuemei continued. If I lose, I'll apologize to you. We should add one more condition. An I Yang responded calmly. What condition? Zhou Xuemei asked. With a casual demeanor, An I Yang slightly lifted her eyelids to look at Zhou Xuemei. I want you to admit that you're jealous of me. An I Yang wasn't molded from clay. She couldn't tolerate Zhou Xuemei continuously pushing her limits. Zhou Xuemei's face turned pale, and then flushed when An I Yang revealed her inner thoughts. What are you talking about? Who's jealous of you? An I Yang only smiled and chose to not waste words. She said directly. Just state whether you're willing to make the bet. Bet. Of course I'll bet. Zhou Xuemei replied confidently. She wasn't going to lose. All the students present today will be our witnesses. Let's seal the bet with a high five. An I Yang extended her hand and high-fived her. After the brief rest period, the English exam began. The atmosphere during the English exam was even more intense than the math one. English had just been added to the college entrance exam, so the questions were relatively simple, and the test was divided into 6 parts. 1 word pronunciation, 2 word spelling, 3 word definition, 4 sentence transformation, 5 multiple choice, 6. Verb completion. In less than half an hour, Na Yang completed the test and rested her head for a nap. To prevent cheating, different invigilators were present for each test. Zhang Chang was scheduled to patrol several examination rooms. When he saw Na Yang sleeping again, he sighed. Only 25 minutes had passed and Na Yang was asleep again. He wondered what the point was of her taking the transfer student exam in this manner. Isn't this a waste of a quota? If he had known this beforehand, he wouldn't have agreed with Jialan to give Na Yang this opportunity. If the principal saw this, it would reflect poorly. After the English exam was history. Na Yang's knowledge of history was extensive, so she didn't find the history exam challenging either. After 4 exams in the morning, it was time for lunch. They could eat either outside the school or in the school cafeteria. Even though a meal ticket was needed to eat in the cafeteria, the school had allowed direct cash payment due to the large number of people appearing for the exam today. Na Yang, where are you going to eat? Han Xiaoyu approached Na Yang. Na Yang smiled and said, I can eat anywhere, what about you? Han Xiaoyu said, then shall we eat in the cafeteria? It's too far outside, and I don't feel like walking. Sure. Na Yang nodded. Let's go then. Han Xiaoyu linked her arm with Na Yang's. The two of them walked towards the cafeteria together. The high school's cafeteria was very large, with 3 floors in total. At lunchtime, the cafeteria was jam-packed, with long lines at every counter. Of course, some students who had rushed managed to start eating at their tables already. It was a difficult time. Many students could only afford plain white rice, not even vegetables. Accompanied by a small bottle of pickles, they could eat several servings of rice. As soon as Na Yang and Han Xiaoyu arrived in the cafeteria, they caused quite a stir. She was so beautiful. Not only was she beautiful, but she also had a unique aura that couldn't be concealed even in her old-fashioned shirt. It was as if she had stepped out of a painting. Wow. Which class is she in? She's so beautiful. I've never seen her before. Today our school is conducting a transfer student exam. She must be here for that. She's so beautiful. I wonder what she ate to grow up like this. I really want to know her name. In those times, people were quite innocent. Even if they were really interested, they wouldn't have the courage to approach her directly. For the first time in her life, Han Xiaoyu drew the attention of so many people, and it left her inexplicably nervous. She looked at Na Yang beside her, and there wasn't a hint of unease on her face. How much must a person grow to be so at ease and unaffected by insults or praise? Inside, Han Xiaoyu couldn't help but be slightly in awe of Na Yang. The two of them got in line at the counter. A few boys were in front of them. As the boys took their meals and started to walk away, one of them suddenly stopped. Na Yang. Chapter 393. The results are out. A slap in the face came so fast. _3. Na Yang glanced slightly upward, meeting the gaze of a slightly tender and handsome face. Li Wei. Li Wei looked surprised. Na Yang, what are you doing here? This place was a city high school, and Na Yang was just a small-scale business owner. How did she get in? Na Yang politely replied, I'm here to take the transfer student's exam. It was only then that Li Wei remembered there was a transfer student's exam today. Na Yang's math grades were good. Her English grades were also good. Could she really get admitted as a transfer student? If that was really the case, wouldn't Na Yang become his schoolmate in the future? For a moment, Li Wei felt a mix of emotions. He even wished that Na Yang would perform terribly in all of her exams today, because only in this way could he feel superior in front of her. But now, Na Yang actually came to take the exams. Li Wei nodded slightly, then said, You must have done very well in the exam today, right? Na Yang said, I did all right. Oh, Li Wei nodded again, his face failing to hide his disappointment. Just then it was almost Na Yang's turn to order lunch. She continued, My turn is coming up, I won't keep chatting. All right. Li Wei also left with the other students around him. As soon as he turned his back, the students next to Li Wei began to ask curiously, Li Wei, what is your relationship with that pretty girl just now? What's her name again? Wuxiang. What are her grades usually like? Can she get into our school? Well, Who could blame them for being curious? After all, Anai Yang was so good-looking. After all, everyone loves beauty. Everyone was chattering away, making Li Wei a little irritable. He knew Anai Yang was pretty, but he didn't know Anai Yang was so popular. He felt a strong sense of crisis. Brother away. Zhou Xuemei ran over from a distance, waving excitedly at Li Wei. A male classmate beside him patted Li Wei on the shoulder and teased, "Li Wei, you're really popular with the ladies." Li Wei was good at studying, handsome, respected elders, and had reverence for teachers, so he was pretty popular among the young girls. Who knows how many young girls in the class had a crush on Li Wei? Zhou Xuemei, on the other hand, grew up with Li Wei in the same village. Later, because Li Wei moved to the city with his parents, they lost contact. Recently, because Zhou Xuemei's parents also found jobs and bought a house in the city, the two met again. The fact that Zhou Xuemei was able to take this transfer student examination was also thanks to Li Wei's recommendation. Enough with the nonsense, she just grew up with me like a little sister. Li Wei began to explain. But what about that Anai Yang just now? The male student asked again. Li Wei said, "She used to be our tenant." Tenant? The male student frowned slightly. Isn't Anai Yang a local? During this period, locals usually look down upon outsiders to some extent. Yes. Li Wei nodded. She used to run a noodle stall. A private business. Hearing this, the disdain in the male student's eyes deepened. A street vendor has the nerve to take the transfer student's exam. Can she even pass? Brother away. During the conversation, Zhou Xuemei had already arrived next to Li Wei. Xuemei. Li Wei replied indifferently. Zhou Xuemei continued. Who were you guys talking about just now? Who's a small-scale business owner? Li Wei said. We were talking about Anai Yang, but you don't know her. Anai Yang. So the enemies were on a narrow road. Zhou Xuemei laughed sarcastically. Who says I don't know her? I was in the same examination room with her today. Really? Li Wei was somewhat surprised. Of course. Zhou Xuemei nodded. Li Wei continued. Then how did Anai Yang perform in the exam today? Hearing this, Zhou Xuemei's expression became even more disdainful. There were 4 exams in the morning, over 5 hours in total. To exaggerate a bit, she slept for at least 4 hours. Do you think she did well? She slept for over 4 hours? Li Wei was somewhat surprised. Yes. Zhou Xuemei continued. The invigilator looked in her direction countless times, but she didn't react at all. So shameless. In that case, Anai Yang must have blown the exam this time. The heavy stone in Li Wei's heart finally landed. As long as Anai Yang hasn't passed, that's good enough. By the way, brother away, how did you get to know Anai Yang? Zhou Xuemei continued to ask. Chapter 394. The results are out. A slap in the face came so fast. _4. Li Wei relayed to Zhou Xuemei that Anai Yang was a self-employed individual. An air of sarcasm hung around Zhou Xuemei's eyes. So that's what Anai Yang is all about. Strutting around so arrogantly. Just a mere self-employed individual. Both her parents were formal workers and they had even bought a house in the city, so Zhou Xuemei naturally looked down on Anai Yang. Furthermore, Anai Yang was an outsider. Brother away, let me tell you something really interesting. Zhou Xuemei relayed the story of her bet with Anai Yang to Li Wei with a laugh. Hearing this, Li Wei felt a surge of superiority in his heart. In the afternoon he was still taking 4 exams. By the time the examinations ended, it was already past 6 in the evening. Anai Yang then made a trip to the vegetable market on his bicycle. They were about to start raising the beams soon, so Anai Yang had to prepare everything needed for the beam raising in advance. Beam raising was a major event. Not only did he need to prepare food and wine to treat the guests, but also buy firecrackers, fireworks, and snacks. Anai Yang bought more than 50 pounds of fruit candies and milk candies, 18 pounds of pastries, dates, and peanuts. Then Anai Yang went to buy 20 packs of cigarettes, firecrackers, and fireworks. Finally, Anai Yang bought vegetables and meat. Anai Yang only bought enough pork for eating that day because if he bought more, it could easily spoil due to the weather. After buying all the necessary things, Anai Yang rode back on his bicycle. As soon as he entered the courtyard, and I Young heard some snorting sounds. A glance at the side revealed that under the osmanthus tree in the courtyard, a big fat pig was tied up. The little rabbit seemed to be seeing a big fat pig for the first time, running around the pig curiously. Mom, where did this big pig come from? And I Young asked Anaitsuehua. And Anaitsuehua replied, your mom bought it. And I Young was taken aback. What did you buy this for? To raise it ourselves? And Anaitsuehua laughed. How could we raise it ourselves? Our house is going to have the beam raising the day after tomorrow, right? I deliberately bought a big fat pig back, so that we could have a good feast for our fellow villagers. If not for the villagers from Jinghua village, how could their family have easily gotten the homestead? And Anaitsuehua was not an ungrateful person. She and Anayang had always kept this in mind. Anayang nodded. Mom, your considerations are indeed comprehensive. Purchasing a big fat pig, along with the pig innards, would not only enable everyone to eat well, but also look good when word spread out. Indeed, they had taken care of both behind-the-scenes and upfront efforts. Anayang asked further. Mom, where did you buy this pig? Anaitsuehua replied, from the next village. Apparently, that family is really having a hard time. They only have a daughter who was cheated and is now pregnant. They don't even have the money to get an abortion. Otherwise, they would not be selling the pig at this time. One must know at this time, keeping a pig in rural areas is of great importance, because farmers depend entirely on pig manure and chicken droppings for fertilizers. The annual crop yield depends entirely on how efficient the big fat pig is at excreting. After all, how much chicken droppings can there be? Furthermore, pigs are not picky eaters. Just cut some pig grass and feed it to them, and they can have pork during the new year. A case of killing two birds with one stone. Anayang frowned slightly. Didn't they call the police? What use is it if the man denies it after they call the police? I heard that there's now something that can determine parentage, but the child has to be born first. Which innocent maiden would willingly take this kind of risk? No one would risk their future, so they could only suffer in silence, choosing to abort the child. Anayang sighed. Anaitsuehua continued. Now some people are really too cruel. They knew the family was in a hurry to sell their big fat pig, and they managed to haggle the price down to 50 yuan from 210 yuan. Mom, you didn't haggle, did you? Anayang asked. Anaitsuehua replied. We've all been through hard times, of course I didn't haggle. We should pay what we should. We can't take advantage of people in their time of need. Anaitsuehua not only did not haggle, but she even gave an extra 50 yuan. Anayang nodded. Mom, you're right. Time flew and soon it was the next day. Since the beam raising was taking place the next day, Anayang began preparing the meals for the beam raising day. Anaitsuehua found a butcher to slaughter the big fat pig that afternoon. Anayang was in the kitchen making pickled pepper chicken feet. Pickled pepper chicken feet are a delicacy in Sichuan and Chongqing, which hadn't spread to Beijing yet, so people mostly ate chicken feet braised or boiled. First, he cut the chicken feet in half, then boiled them to remove the smell. After that, he added spring onions, ginger, garlic, star anise, and Sichuan peppercorns with liquor and boiled them in water for 10 minutes. Chapter 395. The results are out. A slap in the face came so fast. 5. After 10 minutes, they were drained and rinsed with cold water, put into a large container, and then the pickled peppers and their juice were added in. The pickled peppers were made by Anayang last summer. She used bird's eye chilies, and just uncovering the pickle jar brought forth a tangy, spicy aroma, blended with a slight hint of garlic, making people salivate immediately. Besides adding chopped pickled peppers and pickling juice, Anayang also added a chopped lemon. Due to the large quantity of chicken feet, a whole lemon was needed. The pickled chicken feet tasted crunchy and spongy in every bite, with the fragrance and chewiness lingering in the mouth. The spicy and sour taste made people want to swallow their tongue along with each bite, unable to stop eating them. Anayang first tasted pickled chicken feet in her previous life, so while making it, she couldn't help but swallow in anticipation. They were simply too delicious. The exam ended yesterday, and today the paper correction began. Over 20 teachers were seated around a large joined table. The only sound was the constant rustle of correcting papers. Suddenly, a short-haired teacher gasped. Oh my God! This student has every answer correct. Full marks. Her voice instantly grabbed the attention of all the teachers. Teacher Wu, what subject are you grading? English. English. That's truly astonishing. English had recently been added to the college entrance exam subjects, and the general English level of the people was not high. It was impressive to score between 60 and 70 out of a full marks paper. No one had ever heard of full marks. Let me see. I want to see too. The teachers who were grading the papers all gathered around Teacher Wu. Oh my God! This student's handwriting is beautiful. Looking at this writing, I would hate to deduct any marks. Teacher Wu, turn the paper over and let us see the student's name. Yang. What a lovely name. Several teachers exclaimed in awe while surrounding Yang's paper. Then they continued grading their papers. Gradually, the office is filled with more gasps. I've just come across Yang too. She got full marks in math as well. In Chinese, 3 points were deducted for the text comprehension, but no other points lost. Full marks in history. Full marks in chemistry. Full marks in biology. Oh my God! This student is amazing. Definitely a star student. This was the first time in many years that the city high school had come across such an impressive student. The teachers grading the papers excitedly reported this to the principal. The principal, holding Yang's paper, his hands were shaking in excitement. He had a vague recollection of Yang. Because this girl was exceptionally beautiful. Initially, he thought such a beautiful girl was probably just for show. Little did he expect that she would surprise him so much. With such excellent grades, getting into a top university was a certainty. She might even become the city's top scorer. If she truly becomes the top scorer, it would not just be her glory, but also the glory of her homeroom teacher, the principal, and the entire school. Actually, there was competition among schools, and these years, the city's top scorer had been grabbed by other high schools in the county. City High School had not been able to show face in a long time. Principal, what class do you plan on putting Yang into? At that, the other teachers neighboring him perked up. Yang was now a hot commodity. What teacher wouldn't like to have an outstanding student? Which teacher wouldn't hope to guide a city top scorer? Guiding a city top scorer would not only mean a reward from the authorities, it also meant an excellent teacher award, and even possibly interviews from television stations. People live their lives for their reputation. Who wouldn't want to become famous? Principal, I think the learning environment in our class is very suitable for Yang. A teacher immediately near him rebutted. I can hear you chattering all the way from the first floor to the third floor where your class is. Teacher Lin, does the learning environment really exist in your class? What do you know? Our class integrates work and rest. Even if our class is noisy, it's still better than yours. Principal, I believe our class is more suitable for Yang. Teacher Zhao, don't dream about Yang. With those delinquents in your class, even if Yang does go to your class, she will probably be held back. A fight broke out between the teachers for the right of Yang to be in their class. Everyone's face was flushed, no one willing to give up. Chapter 396. The results are out. A slap in the face came so fast. _6. Principal Zhao spoke at the right moment. Let's stop arguing. The students will be evenly distributed to each class, except for Yang, who will be assigned by lottery. The homeroom teacher who corrects the tests gets to draw in a luck of the draw. Whichever of you draws Yang, she will join your class. Does anyone still have objections? I don't. I don't either. Once the lottery drawing is in place, what else can be objected? Principal, let's start the draw now. Yes, yes, yes. Let's get started. Everyone was in a hurry. Principal Zhao went on. Wait a minute, could one of you fetch Teacher Zhang Chang to join the draw? Get Zhang Chang to come over? Why? Zhang Chang isn't even involved in grading the tests. Principal, do we really need to involve Zhang? Principal, isn't this a bit unfair? We were the ones who discovered Yang. How can you invite Zhang Chang? The more people drawing, the less chance we'll have of getting selected. Exactly. Principal Zhao explained. and I Yang was recommended by Zhang Chang's partner. It would be improper if we didn't invite him, right? If it weren't for Zhang Chang, and I Yang might not have even considered coming to our school, especially since our middle school is adjacent to 2 other schools. But Zhang Chang is an odd one. He had such a promising student right in front of him, but instead let her take the exam. If he's lucky enough to draw an I Yang, that's fine. If he doesn't, he'll probably regret it forever. Since the principal had said so, the teachers, being reasonable people, quickly sent someone to call Zhang Chang. When Teacher Chi arrived at the staff dormitory, Zhang Chang was cooking red braised fish at home, filling the air with a rich aroma. Zhang, stop cooking. Quickly come with me to the principal's office. What's the matter, Chi? Zhang Chang asked as he turned down the heat. Good news, said Teacher Chi excitedly. A big piece of good news. What good news has got you laughing like this? Zhang Chang asked curiously. Teacher Chi continued. There's a dark horse among the transfer students from yesterday's test who we think could be the top student in the city. Upon hearing this, Zhang Chang's spirit rose sharply. Really? Why would I lie about this? Chi laughed. The principal asked me to let you know about the lottery draw. Turn off the stove and let's get going. Would the principal really be that kind? He even asked him to join the lottery draw? Zhang Chang suspiciously turned off the stove, removed his apron, and followed Teacher Chi out. Chi, what's going on? Why did the principal invite me to the lottery draw? Teacher Chi explained as they walked. This dark horse seems to have some connections with you. Zhang Chang was confused. What does it have to do with me? Teacher Chi continued. The student's name is Ai Yang. I heard she was recommended by your partner. Upon hearing this, Zhang Chang was dumbfounded. What? Ai Yang is the dark horse? What's going on here? Is he dreaming? Zhang Chang pinched his thigh hard. Hiss. It hurts. So this isn't a dream. She continued. Ai Yang is really incredible. She scored full marks in maths, biology, chemistry, English and history. She made just one mistake in Chinese. Zhang, how could you have not kept such a talented student for yourself? His last sentence was laced with a sense of gloating. He was mocking Zhang Chang's lack of foresight. He had sacrificed something significant just to maintain his class overall college placement rate. Truly regrettable. He could have had this dark horse for himself, but to his surprise, he had turned her away. One can imagine how Zhang Chang must be feeling right now. He was really upset. After a while he asked, Chi, are you joking with me? Is the dark horse really Ai Yang? Is Ai Yang really that talented? Teacher Chi said. Why would I joke about something like this? Zhang Chang continued. Could it be another Ai Yang with the same name? Teacher Chi shook his head and laughed. Shouldn't be the case, we've confirmed it. Among this batch of examinees, except for a few people named Chunhua Chuyue, almost none of them have the same name. With that, Teacher Chi added, Zhang, if you really think it's someone else with the same name, you can opt out of the lottery. Opt out? Why would Zhang Chang do that? No one could resist the honor that the top student brings. Before long, the two arrived at the principal's office. Teacher Zhang, you're here. Principal Zhao smiled at Zhang Chang. Zhang Chang smiled back. Principal. No matter what, Ai Yang was someone he introduced. Since she was destined to be in his class, he was bound to win the draw. He was sure he'd win. Zhang Chang comforted himself. The principal held a handful of crumpled slips of paper. There are 21 slips of paper here. One of them has Ai Yang's name written on it. Whoever draws that piece will become Ai Yang's homeroom teacher. He then put the slips into a box and shook it. Who wants to go first? It seemed a bit unfair to let anyone go first. In the end, the teachers decided to use rock, paper, scissors to determine the order of the draw. 10 minutes later, everyone was holding a small piece of paper. Everyone was apprehensive. Everyone was praying they'd draw the right slip. The principal smiled. Teachers, what are you waiting for? Look at your slips. Upon his words, everyone began to secretly peek at their slips. The next second, a series of sighs swept through the room. Zhang Chang hadn't dared to look at his slip. Seeing everyone sighing around him, he felt a sense of relief. If they didn't win, then he had to be the winner. Zhang, look quickly. What are you waiting for? She urged Zhang Chang impatiently. Yeah, Zhang, hurry up. Zhang Chang boasted. Is there a need to look? I'm sure I've won the lottery. Everything happens for a reason. And Ai Yang was introduced by me after all. She is destined to be in our class. How could anyone else get her? Just then an exuberant voice erupted in the room. Ah, ah, ah. I won. I won the lottery. Everyone turned their heads to look, and saw the near 50-year-old teacher Su, as excited as a child. And Zhang Chang's face changed in an instant, his smile froze on his lips. How can this be? Chapter 397. Let you see people through the crack of the door, up on the beam. _1 Was I not the one who drew the lot? Zhang Chang immediately opened the paper in his hand, only to see it was completely blank. Teacher Su grabbed Zhang Chang's hand excitedly, mumbling incoherently. Teacher Zhang, I can't thank you enough. I'm so grateful that you introduced such an outstanding student to our school. Although he was lucky, he still had to thank Zhang Chang. Without Zhang Chang, it was unclear whether Ai Yang would have come to City No. 3 Middle School or not. The expression on Zhang Chang's face was in stark contrast to that of Teacher Zu's. No problem. After a long while, Zhang Chang managed to squeeze out this sentence. The other teachers were all joking about Teacher Su treating them to a meal. Teacher Su, happy at acquiring an excellent disciple, replied with a cheerful heart. Come on. Today I'm treating everyone to meat and wine. Don't hold back. The crowd followed Teacher Su out, all seeming very pleased, except for Zhang Chang, whose smile was forced and who seemed downcast. While the others merely missed out on being assigned an Ai Yang, he had completely overlooked her. No one could understand this kind of discomfort. At this moment, Zhang Chang couldn't help but want to slap himself. You only have yourself to blame for peeping. No point talking about it now. In the afternoon, Anai Tsuehua held her child and invited everyone from every household to participate in the topping out ceremony the next day. And all the elderly and children at home are also invited. The next day, May 28th. Auspicious for engagement, marriage, worship, entering the house, erecting columns, construction, etc. Actually, the house was almost completely built, and it was Ai Yang who deliberately chose the day for the raising of the roof beams. Although she initially didn't believe in such things after her rebirth, Ai Yang had started to hold strong belief in them. Early in the morning, Ai Yang was already out of bed. She stood in front of the mirror, tied her glossy black hair into a bun, showing off her fair and graceful swan neck. She wore a red shirt and a pair of pencil pants, exuding a youthful aura. When Mo Qixin arrived, Ai Yang was fetching water by the well. She was wearing a pair of pink slippers, had rolled up her pants twice, revealing her ankles as white as jade, with rows of delicate toes, pink and white, like little seashells. Seeing the scene before him, Mo Qixin was a bit taken aback. After a while, he approached Ai Yang and took the bucket from her hands. Ai Yang didn't expect Mo Qixin to suddenly show up. She stumbled on the stone at the edge of the well and almost fell, but luckily Mo Qixin was quick to steady her by the waist. Be careful. He held her waist with one hand and the bucket with the other without spilling a drop of water, demonstrating his composure. Surprised, Ai Yang looked up. Brother Mo, when did you get here? Mo Qixin cleared his throat, speaking in a somewhat low voice. Just now. By the way, where should this bucket of water go? Just put it in the water jar in the kitchen. Ai Yang replied. All right. Mo Qixin nodded, carrying the water toward the kitchen. In the kitchen was a large water jar used to store water for cooking. Mo Qixin poured the water from the bucket into the jar, just covering the bottom of the jar. Mo Qixin turned to look at Ai Yang. Yang, do you always carry the water like this? Yes. Ai Yang nodded. A bucket of water weighed about 20 to 30 pounds. Even a sturdy man would feel the strain after carrying 7 or 8 buckets a day. How old was Ai Yang? Yet she was doing such heavy work. Usually, girls her age in other households were still spoiled little princesses. With this thought, Mo Qixin's eyes filled with a tinge of heartache. Ai Yang laughed. Brother Mo, what are you thinking about? Let me tell you, I'm very capable. These buckets of water are nothing to me. Just a few buckets of water, indeed. were of no concern to Yang. But the feeling of her boyfriend carrying the water instead of her was completely different. It was a strange feeling that Yang of the previous life had never experienced. Mo Qixin looked at Yang and said, Yang in the future, leave all the heavy work at home to me. If I'm not in Beijing, you can directly ask Wu Daming. Yang replied, I'm not a helpless damsel. Though she quite enjoyed the feeling, it was not necessary to leave everything for Mo Qixin to do. If she relied on Mo Qixin for everything, wouldn't she become just like a bird in a cage? Moreover, love needs maintenance. If one becomes overly dependent on the other, the balance of love would be lost. Chapter 398. Letting you peek at people through the door gap, up on the beam. _ The love Yang fantasized about was a relationship between equals. Mo Qixin always respected Yang. He then asked, after fetching the water, what shall we do next? Yang replied, after fetching the water, let's go to our neighbors to borrow some tables and stools. Why borrow them? Don't we have tables at home? Mo Qixin asked, puzzled. Yang explained, later, a lot of guests will be coming to our house, and we certainly won't have enough tables and stools. Oh, Mo Qixin nodded in understanding. Soon, the water tank was filled, and Yang took Mo Qixin next door to borrow tables and stools. Mo Qixin had visited Jinghua village many times before, and he once distributed candies and cigarettes in the village, so everyone had a good impression of him. In no time, more than a dozen tables and stools were set up in the courtyard. While Yang and Suehua were busy in the kitchen, Mo Qixin was setting 2 pots of milk tea and sour plum soup, and a large plate of pickled chicken feet on each table. The white chicken feet, combined with yellow and red millet peppers, looked especially appealing like jewels. Brother Mo, you should try a chicken foot. Yang picked up a chicken foot with her hand, and held it at Mo Qixin's mouth. Mo Qixin opened his mouth to take it. Yang suddenly felt a slight pain in her finger. She looked up and saw a mischievous face. It then dawned on Yang that this man had done it on purpose, and she swiftly withdrew her finger. You're such a dog. Leaning into her ear, Mo Qixin whispered, Yang, don't you always call me a doggy? The warm breath spray on Yang's cheek caused her face to turn red instantly. This man was indeed a jerk. Yang reached out and pinched his waist. His muscles were firm and felt good to touch. Just from a pinch, she could tell that underneath his clothes his body was great. At that moment, Suehua came in carrying 5 large watermelons. Yang quickly withdrew her hand and said, Mom. Suehua continued, Yang, you and Xiaoma, cut up these watermelons and distribute them to everyone. All right. Mo Qixin immediately reached out to take them. These were early ripened watermelons in early June. Their skins were thin, and their flesh was red. Each bite released a burst of juicy sweetness, crisp and sweet. Yang and Mo Qixin took the cut watermelons to the new house next door. By now, the rose vines had climbed over the wall. The vibrant green leaves fluttered in the wind, while the bright red buds peeked through the leaves, lending a calming view. In the yard were swings, lawns, and a little path paved with pebbles. The lawn was planted by Yang using grass seeds. Compared to the hard cement ground, she preferred the soft grass carpet. The sturdy, dense lawn was like the one on a golf course, so even on rainy days, she wouldn't worry about it getting muddy. Above the swings, they had planted 2 vines of grapes. At this time, the green leaves of the grapes had quietly climbed up the trellis. The newly planted grapes would not bear fruit in the same year, but should be ready to harvest by next year. They had planted 2 large hydrangeas on the left side of the yard, beside which was a small pond. The pond was built with cement and pebbles at the bottom. In a few days, Yang planned to buy some water lilies and goldfish to keep in it. They also planted a circle of orchid grass and an osmanthus tree around the pond. Ahead was a delicately built small building. The small building was a blend of Eastern and Western design. The load-bearing walls were made of bricks, and the exterior was decorated with wood. The intricately carved wooden doors and windows, pink walls and black tile roofs, in combination with the yard design, created an illusion of being in Jiangnan's water town. The building spanned 3 stories and covered more than 1,000 square feet in total. The top floor was waiting for the auspicious time of the beam-raising ceremony, so the tiles had not yet been laid. Although Emochishin had been to the Inai family's house several times, he never stayed long. This was the first time he had stepped inside, and he was a bit surprised. Yang, did you hire an architect to design this house? This little building and courtyard were charming, like a miniaturized version of Jiangnan. Inai Yang smiled and said, I just designed it casually myself. You designed it yourself? Emochishin was slightly surprised. Although he had seen Inai Yang's design for the milk teacups before, a house and a cup were two completely different things. Designing a house requires not only a background in drawing, but also a strong foundation in architecture. Otherwise, the house may end up unsafe. Inai Yang nodded. I've always yearned for the lifestyle of the Jiangnan water town scenes of small bridges over streams and households. So, I designed this farmhouse courtyard based on the books I've read before. Brother Emo, what do you think? Chapter 399. Letting you observe people through the door slit, up on the beam. _3. Great. Amazing. Emochishin was so impressed by his wife that he began to worry if he was a good match for Inai Yang. It seems like he needs to work even harder now. The couple placed the watermelon on a table on the first floor, and Inai Yang loudly called for Wang Tiniu to bring the other workers downstairs to enjoy the fruit. Soon Wang Tiniu led the others downstairs. Yang, you're really too kind. Xiaoma is here too. Xiaoma. Hello uncles. Emochishin politely greeted everyone, and began to distribute cigarettes. Still packets of yellow crane tower, costing 20 yuan each. My goodness. Is this young man super rich or something? Last time at the noodle restaurant, they were given yellow crane tower cigarettes. And here at the Inai family's place, this is the case again. As the saying goes, being treated kindly and accepting gifts will soften one's heart. After enjoying the cigarettes, which man wouldn't give a thumbs up and praise Emochishin for being a good guy? You have to admit, Emochishin impresses people. He shows none of the arrogance you might expect from a wealthy young man. Xiaoma, how old are you this year? Wang Tiniu asked curiously. 28. Emochishin answered. Another man eating watermelon chimed in. He is 10 years older than our Yang. Xiaoma, you'd better not bully Yang, or otherwise we all won't let you off. Emochishin responded. Rest assured uncles, I would never bully Yang in my life. Wang Tiniu said seriously. Xiaoma, I'm not joking with you. Yang is our village's little lucky star. If you dare to bully her, all the people in our village will come after you. Other girls' weddings are usually supported by their brothers, but behind Inai Yang there's an entire village. Jinghua village is the strongest backing for Inai Yang. The simple villagers may not use beautiful words, but they will prove their dedication through actual actions. Whoever dares to bully Inai Yang, they are prepared to fight. Emochishin said to Uncle Tiniu. I'm serious too. I will be nice to Yang for my whole life. I won't retaliate even if she hits or scolds me. One of the robust men comforted. Xiaoma, you can rest assured. Our Yang is a good girl. She definitely wouldn't hit or scold you for no reason. If she does, it must be your fault. You're right. Xiaoma, you must have accumulated a lot of good karma in your past life to meet our Yang. You're right. Emochishin was modest and polite, gentle and elegant. No matter what everyone said, he didn't get upset. People started to like him even more. Around 9 in the morning, villagers started to arrive in groups. The small rural yard that was once quiet immediately became lively. Everyone didn't come empty-handed. Some brought chicken, others brought ducks, and some brought red envelopes. Anyway, no one came empty-handed. Although Emochishin had shown his face in the village before, many people still didn't know him. Therefore, Inai Yang and Emochishin greeted everyone together and introduced Emochishin to them. This young man looks strong. Yang, your taste is not bad. What does your family do, young man? Young man, you can't bully our Yang. Emochishin once again witnessed Inai Yang's high popularity in Jinghua village. Lunch was scheduled for 12:30 p.m. The auspicious time for construction was 12 p.m. Taking advantage of the gap in between, everyone sat in the yard, sipping milk tea and sour plum soup, and chatting leisurely. There are rarely moments in rural life when people can be so relaxed, so everyone enjoyed chatting very much. On each table was a plate of pickled chili chicken feet, but no one dared to eat it, because everyone could tell that the chicken feet were not fully cooked. How can raw chicken feet be edible? There's always a saying in rural areas that eating raw meat can cause mad cow disease, so even if people were extremely hungry, they wouldn't eat raw meat. "Grandma, why aren't you eating the chicken feet?" Xiaohua asked an elderly lady with white hair. Grandma Xiaohua hesitated. "The chicken feet look like they're not cooked. It's a mystery why Yang would serve a plate of undercooked chicken feet. Is it just for show?" With its lemon slices and colored peppers, it did look quite appealing, but it also looked a bit unappetizing. If you're suggesting that Yang wanted to host a feast but didn't want anyone to eat, that's simply impossible because she's not stingy at all. Chapter 400. Allowing you to see people through the door crack, up on the beam. _4. Nobody knew what Yang was really up to. "I'll try one." Xiaohua reached for a chicken foot. Before Grandma Xiaohua could stop her, Xiaohua had already taken a bite of the chicken foot. Grandma Xiaohua anxiously said, spit it out quickly. You can't eat raw meat. Are you silly, child?" "Grandma, this chicken foot isn't raw. It tastes really good. You won't believe it until you try it." Xiaohua held the chicken foot up to her grandma's face. As everyone knows, when you bite into a cooked chicken foot, there should be blood inside. But the chicken foot in Xiaohua's hand didn't have a single drop of blood. It was clearly cooked. But was it really that delicious? Grandma Xiaohua bit into it with a mix of belief and doubt. Upon tasting it, the flavor truly was astonishing. A tangy and spicy taste spread throughout her mouth. The chicken foot had a rich flavor. It was nothing like it appeared to be. It was appetizing and refreshing. It was way more delicious than braised chicken feet. Grandma Xiaohua couldn't help but nod her head. "Delicious, it's really delicious." The others at the table curiously asked, "Is it really that good?" "Of course," Grandma Xiaohua replied. "If you don't believe it, try it yourself." The others picked up a chicken foot with a mixture of trust and doubt. Suddenly, exclamations erupted all around. Yang is really amazing. Wow, so delicious. Oh my God. I've never eaten such delicious chicken feet before. The commotion at their table quickly grabbed the attention of the tables next to them. One after another got affected. Within moments, there were no chicken feet left on the table as everyone had finished them off. Wu Daming walked in from outside, with a slight shock in his eyes from seeing so many people in the courtyard. Seeing so many people on the day of the roof beam raising showed that his sister-in-law had a high status in the village. Wu Daming grew up in the countryside and knew the customs of the village. If the hostess was not well liked in the village, there wouldn't be so many people present on the day of the roof beam raising. There were so many people in the courtyard that it took Wu Daming quite a while to find Emochishan, who was mingling among the people, handing out cigarettes. Is that really Emochishan? Could Emochishan really be acting so humbly? Wu Daming swallowed in surprise. Brother 6. Wu Daming, suppressing his astonishment, approached Emochishan. Emochishan nodded and said, "You've arrived. Have all the things been prepared?" "Brother 6, you can count on me." Wu Daming patted his chest in assurance. Emochishan turned his head to the side and asked in a low voice, "Do you have any more Yellow Crane Tower cigarettes?" "No." Wu Daming shook his head. Yellow Crane Tower cigarettes were 20 yuan a pack, and they were not something that he could afford to smoke. Furthermore, Wu Daming had just built a new house, and he needed to save money for home decor. Emochishan handed Wu Daming a few bills. "Go and buy me a few packs of Yellow Crane Tower cigarettes, and be quick." Knowing that there would be many people today, Emochishan had specially brought 5 packs of Yellow Crane Tower. But after circulating it twice, there were only a few left of the Yellow Crane Tower. "All right," Wu Daming continued. "The things are on the farm machine outside. Brother 6, you can take sister-in-law to check it out." After saying that, Wu Daming turned and left. Emochishan found Yang in the kitchen. "Yang, come out with me." "Okay." Yang followed Emochishan out. Outside, there was a blue farm vehicle parked. At that time, cars were very rare and a few children were already playing on it. In the back of the car were several large appliances. A Swan brand washing machine. A Snowflake brand fridge. The Snowflake fridge was launched in 1956. It was one of the earliest premium products in China, and it has won the favor of many domestic and foreign consumers. Also became a source of pride for the Chinese people. There was also an air conditioner that can cool the room. Summer was just around the corner, and with the air conditioner, one could truly enjoy a cool summer. All the appliances on the truck were what Na-young wanted to buy, but she had been unable to get them, not because she didn't have the money, but because she didn't have the channels. In the 1980s, the difficulty of transport resulted in great limitations on the movement of goods, making it hard for people to buy what they wanted. Mo Qishan then said, "Yang, these are my housewarming gifts to you, please accept them." And Na-young hesitated for a moment. "Brother Mo, these are too precious. I can't accept them." Even though she was now Mo Qishan's girlfriend, she still had principles to uphold. No matter what, she couldn't accept these expensive gifts from him. Chapter 401. Letting you watch people through the gap in the door, up on the beam. _5. Mo Qishan chuckled. Yang, daming is in this business. It's just a few machines, not worth much money. You don't have to feel pressured. And Na-young laughed lightly. Big brother Mo, do you realize if others heard you say this, they might kill you? What others might consider hard-to-get assets were just insignificant machines in Mo Qishan's eyes. He could get as many as he wanted, simply by asking. Yang, accept them. Mo Qishan said in a somewhat pitiful tone. Are you going to reject my sincere offering? And Na-young couldn't say no. She accepted them, planning to repay him in another way someday. When others in the yard learned that Mo Qishan had gifted Na-young with large appliances as housewarming gifts, they all came out to see. This is a refrigerator? I heard that ice pops are made by refrigerators. Yes, I've heard that too. Yang, what is this? An elderly woman with white hair pointed at the washing machine and asked Na-young. Na-young replied with a smile. Granny Chen, this is a washing machine. Washing machine? Granny Chen wondered. What's a washing machine? Can it wash clothes automatically? Na-young nodded. Yes, it can. Granny Chen exclaimed in surprise. Can this small cabinet wash clothes? It doesn't even have hands. How does it wash clothes? Can it clean them properly? I've lived for so long and have never seen such a thing. Yeah, I'm curious too. Can it really clean clothes? And what's this cabinet-like thing? I recognize this cabinet. I've seen it before at my cousin's place. It's like an electric fan, but it can blow out really chilly wind in the summer, the kind that makes you shiver. Cold enough to shiver? Aren't you exaggerating? Who would shiver in the summer? Everyone found it unbelievable. I'm not exaggerating, not at all. At my cousin's place, when it was 38 degrees outside, I still needed a quilt inside. What did my cousin call this thing? A window something? Oh yeah, a window unit. And Na-young said. Aunt Allen is correct. This is a window unit. It has cooling effects in the summer, much better than a fan. Hearing this, everyone exclaimed about how ingenious people are these days, even inventing such high-tech stuff. Soon Wu Daming returned with a bag full of cigarettes. Brother Lu here. Thanks. Mo Qishan took the bag and handed out cigarettes to the men. Watching Mo Qishan distributing the cigarettes among the crowd, Wu Daming felt as though he was hallucinating. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would never have believed what was happening. It was soon 11:45. There were only 15 minutes left to the auspicious time for the raising of the roof beam at noon. The raising of the beam refers to the installation of the main beam in the middle of the roof. In rural areas there's a saying, with a roof beam, there's abundance at home. Without a beam, the livestock won't thrive. Therefore, the raising of the beam is a particularly important tradition. However, in modern times, people mostly buy homes in the city and gradually forget about this custom. Before the raising of the beam, the carpenter would paint the wooden beam red. Then 4 carpenters and a male member of the owner's family would lift the beam onto the roof together. This male member could either be the man of the house, his son, son-in-law, or grandson. If there are no men in the family, a woman could perform the task. Big brother Mo, you should join the others to lift the beam. Yang turned to Mo Qixin. Me. Mo Qixin widened his eyes. Yang raised an eyebrow gracefully. What, you don't want to? Of course I want to. Mo Qixin nodded fervently. He was just feeling unexpectedly overwhelmed, because the raising of the beam is a huge deal. He didn't expect Yang would let him take part. It turned out that he held such an important place in Yang's heart. With an excited heart, Mo Qixin went to join the others in lifting the beam. As a series of noises sounded out, the carpenter started his chant. Stairs step by step, holding a flower basket picking immortal peach. After the beam was installed, the carpenter began the ritual of scattering sweets on the beam and sang again. Holding the sugar as white as frost, from east beam scattered to the west beam. When scattered on the beam, blessed sons are born, the ends of the beams will produce scholars. Elders who pick it up will have blessings and longevity, the young who pick it up will have boys. Men who pick it up will be as strong as bulls. Women who pick it up will be as beautiful as peonies. Chapter 402. Allowing you to peek at people through the door gap, up on the beam. _6. The scattering part is what people look forward to the most. Just as the singing described, the carpenter began to throw candy, peanuts and other snacks from the roof. On the ground, adults, children, young, old, practically everyone was jostling together to grab candies. The scene was very lively. Yang prepared over 50 pounds of candy, plus cookies, peanuts and the likes, weighing around 70 to 80 pounds. So practically everyone was able to get some. During this era, a typical family would prepare 4 or 5 pounds of candy at most for a rafter-raising ceremony. There were none as generous as Yang. So everyone was extraordinarily happy while grabbing candies. Everyone could grab some. Even the old woman who was hard on her feet managed to grab a whole bag. After the rafter-raising ceremony ended, it was time to eat. The lunch was splendid, with large bowls of braised pork, succulent roasted lamb legs, and savory beef stew noodles. Moreover, Yang prepared a refined gift for every guest at the table, regardless of age. Yang was no fool. Since everyone brought gifts, she couldn't let them leave empty-handed. The gifts were wrapped in a red handkerchief, with a pack of cigarettes, 18 candies, and a red envelope with 5 yuan inside. After finishing their meal, everyone didn't just rush off. Instead, they stayed to help Suehua wash the dishes and clean up. There were so many dishes. If left to Suehua and Yang alone, how long would it take them to tidy up? The more the merrier. In a little while, they had restored the courtyard to its original state, all neat and tidy. By evening, Yang walked Mo Qixin home. Brother Mo, you had a hard-working day. The setting sun draped the pair in golden light. The scene was as romantic as a TV drama. Mo Qixin replied casually, not at all. Yang, I never knew before today that a house raising could be such a lively event. Mo Qixin had never participated in a rafter-raising ceremony before. It was a pleasant first experience. Yang reached out and took Mo Qixin's hand. Brother Mo, no matter what, I have to thank you for today. Mo Qixin tightened his grasp. With a faint smile on his lips, he said, Yang, if you really want to thank me, do it in a more practical way. Yang knew he was teasing her again, and raised her eyebrows slightly. You're thinking quite prettily, huh? Do you know what I'm thinking? Mo Qixin looked down at Yang's profile. Under the setting sun, her profile seemed to glow. Her clear eyes hid constellations of stars, making people wish they could offer her everything beautiful in this world. Wake up, stop dreaming. Yang removed her hand and pinched Mo Qixin's face. It's daytime, not the time for dreams. Mo Qixin's face reddened from the pinch. He didn't make a sound. Only a softened smile spread across his face. All right. Yang suddenly changed her tone. Brother Mo, did you hire a teacher for Xiaodai yet? I did. Mo Qixin replied. Also, the publishers have been contacted. They think highly of Xiaodai's writings, saying she has the potential to become a writer. Yang nodded. Xiaodai has always been smart. Yang grinned subtly. Li Xiangxian's downfall is near. It's not far now. With a curve of her lips, Yang thought deeply. When they reached the fork in the road, Mo Qixin halted. Okay, Yang, this is far enough. Better get back now. Okay, brother Mo. Take your time on the road, be careful. Yang waved at Mo Chishan. After bidding Mo Chishan goodbye, Yang headed back, kicking at gravel along the road as she walked, lost in thoughts. Over at Li Xiangxian's. Since her last visit to the Mo family, Li Xiangxian's mood hadn't been good. Even though she was now Baichuan's girlfriend, the old Mr. and Mrs. Mo were not as enthusiastic as before. Moreover, the couple Mo Rongping and Xiao Jiao didn't seem fond of her. Otherwise, during the banquet, Mo Rongping and Xiao Jiao wouldn't have made her feel uncomfortable in public. What should she do now? Li Xianxian sat at the desk, her expression filled with worries. Even if she were a famous writer, without being able to marry into the Mo family, it would all be in vain. Becoming a famous writer could only add luster to her. After all, she was limited in the amount of work she could remember. It seemed she had to find a solution once and for all. Li Xianxian squinted her eyes, and a cunning idea quickly flashed through her mind. Maybe she could advance through her child. A rich family like the Mo family would certainly value their descendants, and since Baichuan is the eldest son and grandson in the family, if she were to carry Baichuan's child, the Mo family would surely welcome her with open arms. Then she could become a truly prestigious figure. Baichuan is a responsible man, and Yang is confident that as long as there's a child, Baichuan would be devoted to her and wouldn't think about that scoundrel Yang. Yes, she must have a child. With this thought, a smug smile crept onto Li Xiangxian's face. She picked up her purse, went to the pharmacy, but the first pharmacy didn't have what she wanted, so she went to the second, the third, and finally found what she wanted in the fifth. Today was the day to receive the test scores. Yang went to the city on her bike early in the morning. Because it was early, the streets were not crowded. Suddenly, a child ran onto the road. Yang's heart skipped a beat, and she quickly hit the brakes. Screech. A harsh braking sound resonated. The child seemed stunned. His face turned white in an instant, and he looked like he had forgotten how to react. Hey kiddo, are you okay? Yang quickly stabilized her bike, got off and approached the child. I'm all right. The surprised child shook his head weakly. This was a boy of about 4 or 5. Because of malnutrition, he was thin and pale. His clothes were ragged. One foot had a shoe on, the other did not. Where are your parents, kiddo? Yang asked next. Chapter 403. Even more beautiful than a fairy. The mother-daughter duo who are actresses _1. The little boy looked up at Yang, fear in his eyes as if shrouded by a layer of gray. After a moment he spoke in a tear-choked voice. My dad is at home, can you not look for him, please? Yang laughed and said, Don't worry, I won't look for him. Little one, remember to be cautious when crossing the roads. Stick to the pavements, no running. It's dangerous, understand? The little boy nodded, his eyes welling up with tears. Yang took out some candies from her pocket. Here, have this and stop crying. Big boys don't cry, they only shed blood. The little boy looked at the colorful candy, wiped his tears away, but didn't dare take it. There was something profoundly humbling about the gesture. Take it, no need to be polite with me. Yang shoved the candy into the boy's hand and pocket. By the way, what's your name? The little boy sniffled. I am Fua. Yang gently patted Fua's head. Fua, I'm leaving now. Fua nodded. After Yang left, Fua took a piece of candy out of his pocket. He carefully unwrapped it and put the candy in his mouth. It tasted so sweet. So sweet. So this is what candy tastes like. Fua held the candy wrapper up to his eyes, looking up at the sun. Through the dyed candy wrapper, the sun, the pedestrians, and the roadside scenery all turned into a rainbow of colors. After trying one piece of candy, Fua didn't dare to eat a second. Such delicious candy, his father would surely like it. Lost in his thoughts, Fua hurriedly started homewards. Fua lived in a cramped courtyard shared by 7 or 8 families. A few kids were playing hide and seek in the yard, their laughter echoing around. Fua watched from a distance, his eyes filled with longing. The wild child raised without a mother is back. Wild child! Wild child! The kids hopped around Fua, teasing him. Fua lowered his head, biting his lip, and quickly walked towards his home, pushing the door to enter. The moment the door was opened, the strong smell of traditional medicine hit him. The window in the room was shut and it was dim inside. Fua picked up a stool, stood on it and opened the window, propping it open with a stick. The strong light streamed in from the window, causing the man on the bed to open his eyes. Looking at the mosquito net hanging overhead, torn and worn, the man's eyes were filled with despair. He hadn't died yet. When would this kind of life end? Dad. Fua ran to the bed and stood on his toes to look at the man. You little devil. Why haven't you left yet? The man's gaze suddenly turned fierce. Dad. Fua sniffled, attempting to hold back his tears. I have candy. Eating it will make you better. Fua took out a handful of candy from his pocket and placed them by the man's pillow. Dad, let me unwrap one for you to try. The man yelled angrily. Get out. Get the hell out of here right now. I won't leave. Fua stubbornly wiped his tears away. Fua is your son. Fua is not leaving anywhere. Leave. The man closed his eyes, hiding the sorrow in them. He had to play both father and mother roles, and it hadn't been easy raising the child. How could he bear to chase Fua away? But he was helpless. Now bedridden, he needed someone to care for him for even the simplest of tasks. Fua was only 5 years old. How could he burden his child? Even if Fua was taken away by someone else, it would be better than staying with him, a cripple. Dad, Fua sobbed. Please don't drive me away. Oh, be good. I won't make you angry again. He couldn't leave. If he left, what would happen to his dad? He couldn't leave his father all alone. The man let out a sigh, his eyes welling up with tears. Chokingly he said, Go. I won't go. If I must go, we'll go together. The man suddenly opened his eyes, staring fiercely at Fua. He angrily retorted, Following me will only lead you to death. Your mother is already gone. Why won't you leave? Leave. Go far away from me, so I won't have to be annoyed by your sight. You're just like your goddamn mother, bringing bad luck. Only if you this jinx leaves will I have good days. While he was crying, Fua, with trembling hands, unwrapped the candy and put the red candy in the man's mouth. Dad, have a piece of candy. This candy is really sweet, I tasted it. Chapter 404. Better looking than a fairy, the mother-daughter duo who act _2. A hint of sweetness spread in his mouth, and the man suddenly began to sob quietly. How useless he was. Not only was he useless, but he had also harmed such a good child. Seeing that the man's emotions were slowly stabilizing, Fua cautiously asked, Dad, can I stay now? He didn't want a good life. He just wanted to stay with his father. As long as his father was there, home was there. Even if his father was lying in bed, he was the only pillar of support in his heart. You're not leaving. The man forced out through his stiff throat. I won't chase you away anymore. Really? Fua immediately brightened up, feeling like the whole world had lit up. The man nodded. Fua extended a small pinky finger towards the man. Dad, let's make a pinky promise. The man also extended his hand to Fua. As the father and son held finger to finger, the man asked, Fua, where did you get this candy? Fua said, Dad, this candy was given to me by a very beautiful sister. She has a very pleasant voice, just like Mom in my dreams. Fua had never seen his mother, but in his imagination, his mother was supposed to be a very gentle person. Really? The man looked at Fua. Fua nodded. The man went on to say, Fua, do you remember what your father told you? Fua replied, stealing an egg won't fill you up, but a bad reputation lasts a lifetime. The man continued, Fua, remember, no matter when, we can't do anything illegal. If you do wrong things too often, you will face retribution. He couldn't let his son follow his old path. Fua nodded obediently. I know, Dad. I want to rest. Fua, you go out to play. The man closed his eyes. Fua picked up the worn-out medicine jar next to the bed. I'm going to boil the medicine. Wait. The man reopened his eyes. Dad, what's wrong? Fua looked back. The man continued. Take the candy with you. Fua laughed and said, Dad, I don't like sweets. He wasn't fooling anyone. He just wanted to leave the sweets for his handicapped father. The man closed his eyes in pain. How could such a sensible child have such a useless father? Take it now. The man's expression suddenly turned fierce. Or you can get the hell out of here. Fua shivered in fear, quickly came over and put the candy into his pocket. Dad, don't be angry, don't chase me away. The man closed his eyes and began to sleep. Dad, remember to call me if you need anything. Fua quietly left the room and went to the open-air kitchen to boil the medicine. Looking at the 2 remaining packets of herbal medicine, Fua sighed. The medicine would only last for 2 more days. What to do? While boiling the medicine, Fua grabbed a small handful of coarse rice from the bottom of the rice vat and put it on a broken tile to make porridge. In a short while, the porridge was ready. The strong smell of herbal medicine was mixed with the faint aroma of rice. Fua spooned all the cooked porridge into a big bowl, dipped his finger in the bowl, smeared some rice soup around his mouth, and then carried the porridge into the room. Dad, it's time to eat. Fua spoke gently. Although the man's legs were paralyzed, his upper body and hands were still normal. He propped up his upper body to sit up. Why is there only 1 bowl? I have already eaten. Fua burped. I ate 2 large bowls of porridge. If you don't believe me, check my mouth. There was indeed some rice soup around Fua's mouth. Only then did the man feel relieved and started to eat his porridge. Dad, it'll go out now. Fua went outside, scooped up a large spoonful of cold water from the vat, and drank it all at once. Drink more water, eat a piece of candy, and you won't feel hungry. Young rode her bicycle to school. Today was the day the transfer student grades were released, so the campus was crowded with people. From a distance, Han Xiaoyu saw Young, who stood out from the crowd. She rushed over. Young. Xiaoyu. Young gave a slight smile. Congratulations, Young. For what? Young looked at Han Xiaoyu with confusion. Han Xiaoyu was surprised and said, Young, you don't know yet? Know what? Young was even more puzzled. First place. Han Xiaoyu excitedly said, You got the first place. Although Young had the foundation from her past life and was quite confident about this test, she really hadn't expected that she would achieve first place. Chapter 405. Better looking than a fairy, the mother-daughter duo who act _3. After all, when this newcomer is examined, it's not like there's a shortage of students with excellent academic performance. Really? Of course it's true. Han Xiaoyu continued. Would I joke about something like this? Come on, let me take you to see. Han Xiaoyu took Young to the bulletin board where the rankings were posted. A crowd of people stood in front of the board checking their scores. Excuse me, coming through. Han Xiaoyu managed to squeeze Young into the crowd and pointed at the red list. Young, look at this. Young? When the people around heard this, they all turned to look at Young. Could this Young be the one ranked first? Then, what Han Xiaoyu said next confirmed everyone's speculation. Young, I told you that you are first. You're incredibly amazing. You scored full marks in math, English, and history. The list posted not only the rankings but individual subject scores as well. Out of a total of 650 points, Young had scored a high 645 points. That was 80 points higher than the second rank. Surely, this was a score good enough to crush all the other students in the school. Although it was somewhat expected for Young to get full marks in math, history, and political science, what was astonishing was that she scored full marks in English too. This was simply terrifying. Young responded with a smile. I didn't expect to do this well either. By the way, Xiaoyu, you did pretty good too. Han Xiaoyu was ranked in the top 15, only 18 points behind the second rank, which was a fairly good achievement as well. Han Xiaoyu laughed and said, Speaking of this, I have you to thank Young. If it hadn't been for Yang's encouragement urging her not to be nervous that day, she wouldn't have scored so well. It must be said, meeting a good friend in life is truly important. Zhou Xuemei came to the board full of excitement. She did well this time, and believed she could get a good result. Her results were indeed good, ranking 9th, placing before Han Xiaoyu. She didn't expect that the silly Han Xiaoyu would also rank 15th this time. Zhou Xuemei snorted softly. Her eyes shifted, and when she read the name at the top of the board, her expression changed instantly. And Yang was first? It must be a case of having the same name, right? How could that infuriating tramp Yang possibly rank first? Right. It must be a case of having the same name. Just then, Han Xiaoyu was walking towards her arm in arm with Yang. Yang. Zhou Xuemei spoke out to stop Yang. Since it was a case of having the same name, there was nothing she needed to be afraid of. She hadn't forgotten the bet she had made with Yang on the day of the exam. What is it? Yang frowned slightly at this, also recalling the bet they made that day. Apologize to me. Zhou Xuemei crossed her arms and continued. Not only should you apologize, but you should also admit that on that day you were pretending to know something you didn't, just to show off. Apologize. Han Xiaoyu burst into laughter. Zhou Xuemei, you must be out of your mind. You're asking a person who got full marks in math to apologize. If anyone should apologize, it should be you to Yang. Not only should you apologize, but you should also admit that you are jealous of Yang. The students around them were not sure what was going on. Whispering to each other, those who understood the incident that day explained it to others. Hearing this, everyone seemed to get more excited. Apologize to her? Han Xiaoyu, you're the one who's crazy. Didn't you see my rank? I'm in the 8th place. What rank could Yang possibly secure? Maybe she didn't even pass the newcomer examination. Because other than the Yang who topped the list, Zhou Xuemei did not find another Yang. You're just 8th. Yang is the first. Zhou Xuemei mocked. First? Han Xiaoyu, are you sure the Yang who's first is the Yang next to you? There are so many people with the same name. Like the Wang Chunhua ranked 7th, and the Wang Chunhua ranked 46th. At these words, everyone nodded in agreement. Yes, indeed. How did they forget about people having the same names? With so many taking the newcomer's exam, the occasional occurrence of 1 or 2 people having the same name was quite normal. Yang was so gorgeous, and she was even sleeping in the examination room. She just didn't seem like the sort who could come first. Seeing that everyone was supporting her, Zhou Xuemei felt even more chips in her favor at the moment. Yang apologize. Once she finished speaking, Zhou Xuemei continued. By the way, Yang, I heard you're selling noodles out there. Look at you, a noodle seller. Instead of minding your real business and selling your noodles, why the heck would you take the newcomer's exam? Isn't that a waste of an examination spot? In this era, working as a self-employed individual was regarded as the least promising career, even not as respected as the beggars on the street. Chapter 406. Better looking than a fairy, the mother-daughter duo who act _4. Back then, there was a term speculators, used to describe sole proprietors. Among all things, only reading is noble. To these students, they disdained sole proprietors even more. Zhou Xuemei continued. Yang, if you really don't want to apologize, forget it. Actually, I can understand if you don't perform well in the exam. After all, being a sole proprietor means you're up early and working late. How could you possibly focus on studying? Zhou Xuemei was extremely smug, looking at Yang with the eyes of someone pitying a wretched creature. Seemingly, this was a transfer student's examination. In reality, it was a fork in the road of life. One path led to the upper class, the other to the lower class. She had already stepped foot into the upper class while Yang was destined to live in the lower class all his life. Zhou Xuemei foresaw her bright future. Just when she was about to ridicule Yang some more, she saw the principal coming their way with a teacher. She achieved an outstanding result, placing 8th. Could it be that the principal came to personally congratulate her? Upon this thought, Zhou Xuemei's smugness intensified. She cast a sidelong glance at Yang, gave a refined smile, and turned to greet the principal. Hello Principal Zhao, I am Zhou Xuemei. Principal Zhao was not in the mood to deal with Zhou Xuemei for the moment. He just gave a cursory nod and went straight to Yang saying, Yang, congratulations on achieving first place in this transfer student examination. This is your homeroom teacher, Mr. Su Yang. Upon hearing this, The smile on Zhou Zuimai's face froze. She had just mocked In Yang for possibly sharing the same name with a top student. Unexpectedly, reality just delivered her a resounding slap in the face. How could this be possible? How could In Yang be the top student? She took the exam so seriously and still only came in 8th, while In Yang had been sleeping during the exam. Did Principal Zhao mistake someone else for In Yang? Or did In Yang cheat? Principal Zhao, you must have mistaken someone else for In Yang. It's impossible that In Yang could be top. Principal Zhao was quite happy now, and didn't notice the malice in Zhou Zuimai's assertion. He smiled and said, "No mistake, the first place is indeed this In Yang." Zhou Xiumei retorted, "Principal Zhao, then In Yang must have cheated." What did she mean by cheating? Principal Zhao didn't like this remark. The transfer students' exam papers were personally printed by him, the grade leader, and 3 other excellent teachers. The questions were selected by them personally, and definitely nobody else knew about it. During the exam, each class was supervised by 6 teachers, with an additional few patrolling outside. There was no chance for the students to cheat. Before Zhao could say anything, Teacher Su indignantly reprimanded, "Zhou Xiumei, this is a character insult to In Yang and to all the teachers at our school. In Yang did indeed rank first, so I wonder, whose work could she have copied? Apologize to In Yang immediately." Upon hearing this, Zhou Zuimai's face turned pale instantly. She had indeed spoken out of turn. In Yang was first. Who else's work could she possibly have copied? Moreover, her words questioned not only In Yang, but also offended all the teachers at 3rd Middle School. After all, the fact that cheating exists in an exam indicates negligence from teachers. If the exam questions were leaked, that would indicate a lack of professional ethics. The teachers at 3rd Middle School are notoriously strict. How could they possibly commit such acts that betray the public's trust? The gazes of those around subtly shifted. They, too, had initially questioned if In Yang cheated. But after hearing teachers' thus words, they instantly came to a sudden realization. Zhou Xiumei bit her lip, seemingly incapable of uttering the 3 words, "I'm sorry." She didn't want to apologize to In Yang. She especially didn't want to apologize to a sole proprietor. Why should a sole proprietor earn the first place in a transfer student exam? This was utterly unbearable. In Yang slightly smiled and said to Zhou Xiumei, "If you really don't want to apologize, then I won't force it. After all, you've been busy being jealous and accusing others. Slandering people has become your habit. How could I possibly try to correct it?" In Yang's retorted Zhou Zuimai's mockery, tactfully giving it back to her. Though not a single harsh word was uttered, each and every one sliced to the quick. Zhou Zuimai's face turned exceedingly unsightly. In front of the principal and so many students, she lost face completely. Chapter 407. Better looking than a fairy, the mother-daughter duo who act _5. As she finished speaking, In Yang turned to greet Principal Zhao and Teacher Su politely. Both Principal Zhao and Teacher Su nodded with satisfaction. This girl in front of them was not arrogant or impulsive. She was courteous, kind-hearted yet still sharp-edged. She wouldn't let people oppress her. Indeed, she was a well-rounded good kid. Teacher Su then said, "In Yang, I'll take you to our class." In Yang was now a member of their class. What an honor it was to be part of them. All right. In Yang nodded. "Thank you, Teacher Su." Not everyone gets a one-on-one chance to be taken to class by a teacher. The rest had been allocated to different classes based on their test scores. They had to find their classrooms by themselves. In Yang was an exception. After greeting Han Xiaoyu, In Yang followed Teacher Su towards the direction of the classroom. The class that In Yang was in now was Class 5. Class 5 had a total of 66 students. The whole room was incredibly crowded. In front of every desk, there was a tall stack of books. The most eye-catching was the Huanggang exam paper. At this time, Huanggang exam papers were popular nationwide, comparable to the 5 years college entrance exam, 3 years simulation in the future. Everyone quiet down. Teacher Huang stepped onto the podium, tapping the ruler. The room instantly fell quiet, everyone turning to look at the podium. Today, I want to introduce someone important to you. In the following time, She will advance and retreat with you and take the college entrance examination together. She is Ni Yang, who ranked first in our midterm exams. Ni Yang, please come in. Teacher Su looked towards the door. As he finished speaking, the faces of everyone in the class brightened up, and murmurs began to fill the room. The first place too. That's amazing. Not only did she score an impressive 645 points, but she also got a perfect score in English. Her academic performance was so good. Wonder what she looks like in real life. Would she be very ugly? Under the expectant gaze of the crowd, Ni Yang walked in and gracefully stood on the podium. Hello everyone, I'm Ni Yang, and I as the single person slang. And Yang is from the phrase, the sun on the blue field warms the jade and creates smoke. As she finished speaking, she picked up a piece of chalk from the podium and wrote 2 large characters on the blackboard. The handwritten words were beautiful, elegant yet casual. Even better than the teacher's handwriting. Indeed, her handwriting was just like her. Murmurs of admiration came from the crowd. My gosh! The new girl is too beautiful. Just like a fairy from heaven. Even prettier than Changyu. Can Changyu compare with a celestial fairy? The celestial fairy was imagined by everyone, but Ni Yang really existed in reality. Everyone not only could see her, but also become her classmates. The impact was completely different. As one of the main characters, Changyu felt upset after hearing that. You guys sound as if you've really seen a fairy. Before Ni Yang's arrival, she was the class flower of class 5. Once Ni Yang was there, she instantly became an ordinary girl. How could she be happy about that? Moreover, Changyu didn't think Ni Yang was much prettier than herself. Changyu, are you feeling sour? Changyu closed her Chinese book and turned to look at the boy speaking. You think you've seen a fairy before? I haven't seen a fairy, but I know the new girl is much prettier than you. Changyu sneered. What's the use of being pretty? I heard she's just a peddler. After she goes to university, she'll be a university student. Before Zhu Yuanzong became an emperor, he was just a beggar. What's the use of being a university student? She could even become a billion-dollar heiress in the future. At that time, she would make everyone regret their actions today. Changyu quietly clenched her fist. After a brief introduction, Ni Yang followed Teacher Su to his office. Teacher Su, I want to discuss something with you. Go ahead. Teacher Su really liked this student. As long as Ni Yang's request was not too excessive, he would agree. Ni Yang continued. Can I come to school only for exams in the future? I'd like to arrange my own time for the rest of the days. Ah, why? Teacher Su was somewhat surprised. Ni Yang said, Rest assured, Teacher Su, I will study diligently at home. If I don't do well in a test, I will immediately return to school. Ni Yang's business couldn't afford a moment's neglect now, and she also planned to expand her business. If she wasted a whole year, she would miss many opportunities. Teacher Su hesitated a bit. That doesn't comply with the school rules. It didn't make sense for the student not to attend school. What if her performance drops? Chapter 408. Better looking than a fairy, the mother-daughter duo who act _6. Ni Yang smiled and said, Rules are inflexible, but people are adaptable. I promise I won't let my grades drop. After much persuasion, Teacher Su finally agreed. However, Teacher Su made Ni Yang sign a pledge, stating that if her grades dropped, she would have to return to school immediately. Walking out of the office, Ni Yang felt light on her feet, as if she had shed a heavy load from her shoulders. She was beautiful, and she quickly caused a sensation on the campus. That's Ni Yang. Is it the Ni Yang who came in first? Yes. It's her. My God. She's both talented and beautiful. Li Wei stood in the crowd, listening to the murmurs around him, and looked towards Ni Yang. She was walking under a row of camphor trees, her silhouette as elegant as a fairy untouched by the mundane world. She came in first. Ni Yang scored 645 points in the exam. Li Wei came third in his class in the last monthly exam, scoring only 588 points. Ni Yang was a full 57 points ahead of him. It's as if she has already set foot in a top-tier university. Even prestigious overseas universities would invite Ni Yang. Li Wei couldn't describe what he was feeling, he just felt extremely uncomfortable. Why hadn't An Yang failed in her exam? If An Yang had failed, he could have comforted her, but now he didn't even have the confidence to strike up a conversation. Li Wei glanced at An Yang, and then turned in the opposite direction. From now on, he must study harder, hoping to achieve excellent results in the college entrance exam, and become the top scholar in the city. He must be stronger than An Yang. Since their last meeting, persuaded by Shangguan Shi, Shangguan Dehui decided to spend some time getting to know Lin Feng. The two people arranged through the introducer to meet at a cafe tomorrow at 10 in the morning. After listening to the introducer, Lin Feng was overwhelmed with joy. Although she already knew that Shangguan Dehui had a good impression of her, she couldn't help being excited after hearing the definite answer from the introducer. That's the Shangguan family. The real wealthy family. After sending the introducer away, Lin looked at Changyu. Xiaoya, what do you think your mother should wear tomorrow? Changyu was also happy about this. Mom, it's your first date with Uncle Shangguan. It's better to dress dignified and restrained. How about this? I'll go with you to select a dress at the mall. Sounds good. Lin Feng nodded. Mother and daughter ignored the cry of hunger from the storeroom, directly walked out of the house, and went to the department store to buy clothes. Eventually, Lin Feng bought a wine-red dress and a pair of high heels. It cost her 68 yuan, which was equivalent to her 2 months' salary. She felt heartache when paying, but thinking that she was about to become a wealthy lady, she didn't feel anything anymore. You can't make an omelette without breaking eggs. As long as she could marry into a wealthy family, not to mention 68 yuan, even if it was 680 yuan, she would be willing to spend it. After buying the clothes, the mother and daughter happily left the department store. Just as they left the front door of the mall, Lin Feng was bumped into by a raggedly dressed child. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. The child immediately apologized. You're disgusting. Stay away from me. Lin Feng pushed the child to the ground. Mom! Changyu pulled at Lin Feng's sleeve and signaled her to look ahead with her eyes. Looking around, she saw Shangguan Shi and Shangguan Dehui approaching them, arm in arm. It looked like they hadn't seen what happened just now. Lin Feng's face changed and she quickly helped the child up and said warmly, Are you okay, dear? It's all my fault. I wasn't careful. To prevent the child from crying, Lin Feng took out a yuan and slipped it into the child's pocket, warning in a low voice, Cooperate with me, and this yuan is yours. The child felt the coin in his pocket and nodded. Then Lin Feng said, What's your name, dear? How old are you? Why are you here alone? Where are your parents? I'm Fua, 5 years old. I came out to play by myself, and my daddy is at home. They were almost out of rice at home, and Fua was trying to find something edible in the garbage bins. Those who come to the mall to shop are wealthy people, and the food they can't finish will be thrown into the garbage bin. Fua had found a lot of delicious food in the garbage bin before. Fua, what a nice name. Lin Feng continued. Your clothes are all torn. Would you like Auntie to buy you a new dress? Fua was considerate and said, Thank you, Auntie, my clothes are torn, but they still can be worn. Changyu laughed and said, Fua, you don't have to be polite with my mom. She is a very kind-hearted person. If she doesn't buy you a dress, she won't be able to sleep tonight. Lin Feng led Fua by the hand into the market. Come on, Auntie will buy you new clothes. After Lin Feng and Changyu left, Shangguan Shi and Shangguan Dehui came out from the corner. Shangguan Shi said, Dad, you see Lin Auntie is a nice person, right? Shangguan Dehui nodded. She seems to be a good person, but I don't know whether she put on this performance on purpose for us to see. I always feel that her daughter Changyu seem to have noticed us. Shangguan Shi laughed and said, Dad, you're overthinking. Lin Auntie is really a good person. How could she put on a show for you? Shangguan Dehui continued, Maybe I'm overthinking. Shangguan Shi held Shangguan Dehui's arm. Dad, tomorrow is your first date with Lin Auntie. You need to behave well. Shall I take you to the salon to get your hair done? All right. Shangguan Dehui nodded. The father and daughter head towards the salon nearby. When the father and daughter had entered the salon, Lin Feng and Changyu came out of the back door of the mall with Fua. Lin Feng disgustedly let go of Fua's hand, Get lost. Don't let me see you again. You bring me bad luck. Fua was still in the same ragged clothes, tightly clenching the yuan in his pocket, and ran away quickly. At that time, rice was sold at 2 cents per pound. With 1 yuan, you could buy 5 pounds of rice, which would feed him and his father for more than 10 days if there are only porridge. After buying 5 pounds of rice, Fua went to the vegetable market to pick up discarded vegetable leaves. Soon Fua had collected half a bag of vegetable leaves. Looking at these vegetable leaves, Fua revealed a satisfied smile. He was fortunate today as he hadn't run into the grandma who usually picks up vegetable leaves too. Having so many leaves, adding to the porridge could last them half a month. Feeling more and more cheerful, Fua couldn't help taking out a candy from his pocket to reward himself. Chapter 409. Corporate Development and Culture. Fua is the son of Li Xianxian. _1 After coming out of school, Anai Yang went to the flower and bird market. It's Tuesday today, and not many people are at the flower and bird market. This is the largest flower and bird market in Beijing, covering over 1,000 square meters with rows of stalls held up by plastic canopies. Anai Yang approached a green plant stall, picked up a piece of water lily rhizome, and asked, "How much is this water lily, boss?" The rhizomes of water lilies are different from those of lotus. The rhizome of a lotus is edible lotus root, but the rhizome of a water lily is a tuber, much like a knotted lump of wood. The water lilies are 5 cents each, the boss replied. Anai Yang continued, "I'll take 10 and 12 goldfish." Seeing Anai Yang buying so much, the green plant boss instantly became more enthusiastic. "Okay, young lady, I'll pack these up for you. Do you want anything else in addition to these? How much is this mina?" Anai Yang noticed a bird cage hanging from the top of the canopy. Inside were 2 vivacious minas. Minas are very perceptive birds. Not only can they imitate the calls of other birds, they can also mimic simple human language. Moreover, minas can recognize their home and owner just like dogs. They're very loyal. The green plant boss continued, "If you really want to buy a mina, I have a young one at home. You can't really take care of the adult ones like these." Can't really take care of is a colloquial term, meaning it can't be fed until it becomes familiar. "Young lady, wait a moment for me. I'll fetch the young bird from inside for you to see." The green plant boss turned and went back inside. When he came back out, he was carrying a bird's nest with a young bird inside whose feathers haven't fully grown. The young bird looked a bit ugly, opening its mouth at the sight of people, as if wanting to eat. The green plant boss picked up an insect from the side and fed it to the young bird's mouth. See, this kind of young bird is easy to feed. Speaking of minas, it's indeed better to start feeding them from when they are young. Anai Yang went on, "How much is this young bird?" "This one is 5 yuan each. I'll throw in the nest for free." 5 yuan? At this time, a laborer's day wage is just 1 yuan. Does the boss really think she's a fool? Anai Yang didn't say much and simply replied, "I will take it for 1 yuan." The green plant boss laughed. "Young lady, don't joke with me. I won't even be able to cover the cost if it's 1 yuan. Anai Yang said, "Then forget it, I'll go look at other places." With that, Anai Yang turned and walked away. The green plant boss had seen this tactic many times. He didn't believe Anai Yang would really leave. He had been in business for many years and could tell at a glance that Anai Yang liked the young bird. He believed that Anai Yang would come back in about 5 minutes. It was precisely because he was sure that Anai Yang liked this young bird so much that the green plant boss deliberately marked up the price. The green plant boss leisurely lit his air-cured tobacco, lay down in his deck chair waiting for Anai Yang to return. About 10 minutes later, the green plant boss saw Anai Yang's figure again. The green plant boss immediately brightened up, sitting up from the deck chair. Just as he was about to tease Anai Yang, he saw the water lily rhizomes and bird cage in her hands, and his smile froze on his face. Bought it already? Didn't Anai Yang really like that young bird just now? How did she buy from other shops so quickly? The green plant boss felt bitter in his heart for a moment. He wished he could turn back time and sell it to Anai Yang for 1 yuan. If he had sold it for 1 yuan, he could have at least earned 50 cents. With the water lilies and goldfish, he could have made around 1 yuan from this deal. Now, not only did he not make a single cent, but he was also left irritated. When Enai Yang got home, she first settled the young myna's nest on the osmanthus tree in the yard, and then fed it a few worms. Then she took a pail and a shovel, ready to dig some river mud to plant the water lilies. It was early summer, the river was not very deep, so Enai Yang easily dug up a large pail of river mud. Besides the river mud, Enai Yang also picked a large rock, which can be placed in the pond for decoration. Sister Enai Yang will help you. A few children ran over from a distance, one of them took the rock, and 2 others helped lift the pail. Xiaohua, Penghu Guochang, thank you. The 3 boys laughed and said, Sister Enai Yang, no need to be polite. Enai Yang is now the most popular person among this group of children. She is pretty, and her speaking voice is pleasant. All the children like her a lot. Chapter 410. Business Development and Culture. Fuwa is the son of Li Xianxian. _2. As soon as they arrived at the Enai family's courtyard, the children dropped everything and bolted. They did this because Enai Yang was just too warm-hearted. If they didn't run away quickly, Enai Yang would definitely give them more candies and snacks. The kids weren't helping Sister Enai Yang just for food. Though they were young, they were sensible. Looking at the children scampering away, a faint smile floated on Enai Yang's face, and the sunlight shining through the leaves dappled her with a halo. If the scene had to be described in 2 phrases, they would be, the time is peaceful, life is stable. Having brought the buckets and stones into the yard, Enai Yang began planting her water lilies. She poured river mud into the pond, burrowed the roots of the lilies into the muck, then filled it with water, and set the goldfish in. The goldfish proved resilient. They swam happily through the pond as soon as they were put in. The pond's drainage and waste system were designed exceptionally. There was no need to worry about foul-smelling water. Now all that was left was to wait for the lily pads to sprout. 6th sister-in-law. Wu Daming's voice called from outside. It's here. Enai Yang rolled up her sleeve and walked outside. 6th sister-in-law. Wu Daming hopped off the farm vehicle. I have delivered the sterilizer and the other machines. Which room do you want me to move them into? Enai Yang smiled and replied, move them to the new house. While building the new house, Enai Yang designed 3 additional small bungalows behind it for a sterile room to make skincare products. If she was planning to expand her skincare product business, she must make it official so that her competitors would have no grounds for criticism. The market was a battlefield, and with the experience from her past life, Enai Yang would not let down her guard. All right. Wu Daming turned to look at the agricultural vehicle. You guys come down. 3 more people hopped off the farm vehicle. Now with Wu Daming, 4 people in total helped carry the machines into the house. The walls inside the bungalow were lime-washed and the floors were laid with tiles of the same color. The inside looked clean and tidy. There were a total of 3 sterilizers, 1 for each room. In addition to the sterilizers, Enai Yang had also requested 6 cream-making and mixing machines. Wu Daming was a very responsible person. Once he had placed the machines and made sure they were powered correctly, he said goodbye to Enai Yang. Wu Daming, wait a moment. Enai Yang called to him as he was about to leave. 6th sister-in-law, is there anything else you need? Wu Daming curiously asked. Enai Yang said, you forgot to collect the money. How much for the machines? Wu Daming had not expected Enai Yang to be willing to pay. After all, she was now officially with Mo Qishan. A normal person would take advantage of a little favor if they could. However, it seemed Enai Yang had no intention of taking advantage of him. Wu Daming hesitated for a moment, then said, 6th sister-in-law, wait a moment. I'll check the account book in the car. Okay. Enai Yang nodded. After a short while, Wu Daming returned inside and said, 6th sister-in-law, the machines net to a total of 60,000 yuan. Though 60,000 yuan was no small sum, it was a fair price for all these imported machines. Transportation was not well developed at that time, and sometimes it took a lot of effort and connections just to buy the things one wanted. Enai Yang then said, I don't have that much cash on hand right now. You give me an account number, and I'll do a bank transfer for you tomorrow. All right. Wu Daming nodded, took a piece of paper from his pocket, and wrote down an account number for Enai Yang. Enai Yang slips the note into her pocket. The latest I'll wire you is tomorrow afternoon. Wu Daming chuckled, then said, I'm not in a hurry for the money. Wire it over whenever it is convenient for you. If there's nothing else, I'll leave now. Hold on a moment. Na-young went back into the house. Wu Daming did as told and waited. Shortly after, Na-young came out with a bag. She took out 4 small packages and handed them to Wu Daming and the workers behind him. These are the sweets we bought for the housewarming a few days ago. It's a small token of my appreciation. Wu Daming gratefully accepted them and said, You are too kind, sixth sister-in-law. It's just a bag of candies. Wu Daming turned to the 3 workers behind him and said, Why don't you thank sixth sister-in-law? Thank you, sixth sister-in-law. The 3 men voiced their thanks in unison. Chapter 411. Business Development and Culture. Fua is the son of Li Xianxian. _3. Sisterly, we'll be heading back now. All right. Take care on the way, and be safe. Na-young escorted the 4 of them out. Upon getting into the car, one of the workers opened the bag of candy given by Na-young and exclaimed in surprise, Wow! Sister Li is so generous. There's not just candy in here, but cigarettes too. Cigarettes? The others, upon hearing this, immediately perked up. They quickly opened their bags to discover that besides candy, there was indeed a pack of cigarettes. Another worker exclaimed, There's a red envelope. Do any of you have a red envelope? Seriously, there's a red envelope? Wu Daming, who was driving, asked in disbelief. Yes, there's a red envelope, the worker replied while opening it. I just don't know if it's empty. One worker who had already opened theirs joyfully declared, It's not empty, there's money in it. I have 18 yuan here. Check how much you guys have. I also have 18 yuan. Me too. Wu Daming pulled the car over to the side of the road and opened his own bag of candy to check. Heavens! Inside, there indeed was a red envelope and cigarettes. Na-young was incredibly sensible. It wasn't surprising she could manage business so well. Yang, who was here? Tsuehua walked in from next door the moment Wu Daming had left. Although the new house was already built, it hadn't been finally decorated yet, so they were still temporarily living with Chingue. It was Wu Daming. Na-young explained, Mom, Wu Daming sent over the machines for producing skincare products. Next month, the second, Ice Touch Jade Skin physical store will open. We can think about hiring a few people to manage the skincare products. Although Ice Touch Jade Skin only had one physical store, they were overwhelmed with orders, needing temporary workers for at least 15 days of the month. Once the branch store opened next month, they'd undoubtedly be even busier. Plus, Na-young was planning to introduce a new product, face masks. Yang Shulin had already sent over the mask samples last month. With Na-young's confirmation that there were no issues, the mask sheets would arrive in bulk at the end of the month. Tsuehua nodded. Yang, how many people do you think we should hire? Na-young thought for a moment. Let's start with 5. All right, I'll mention it in the village tomorrow. Is the wage still 35 yuan? Let's set the wage at 40 yuan. Na-young continued. Next month, I'll also raise Aunt Zhou and Aunt Wang's wages to 40 yuan. Na-young was a good boss. If she could afford meat, she wouldn't let her employees have thin gruel. Every employee's support and hard work is crucial to a company's success. If the employees don't love their job, it's only a matter of time before the company goes under. What makes employees love their job? Besides a good company culture, a good salary is crucial. All people are the same. No one works for love for no reason. Na-young, having started from the bottom, understood workers' psychology well. Consider a simple example. 2 best friends held the same job, but they worked at different companies. If the salary of one was a third higher than the other, one wouldn't need to guess what would happen. The one earning less would attempt to switch to the other company, while the other would stay put, work hard, and not give anyone a chance to poach her. A company that makes its employees want to quit is not a good company. Tsuehua never interfered in Na-young's business matters. She simply nodded her head and repeated, All right, I'll bring it up in the village tomorrow. By the way, Mom, how much aloe vera and portulaca have we harvested lately? Na-young asked. Tsuehua replied, All the aloe vera and portulaca we've harvested recently have been used to make skincare products. We have no inventory left. Ice Touch Jade Skin, due to its effectiveness, had become popular all over Beijing. People from nearby cities had even heard of it and came to buy it. The number of employees at the Ice Touch Jade Skin physical store had increased from the initial 4 to 6. No inventory left? And Yang frowned slightly. What about the roses? And Tsuehua replied. We've harvested around 50 gene of roses. They've all been made into pure rose dew and rose essential oil. After distilling rose petals, 2 products can be extracted. One is rose essential oil, and the other is pure rose dew. Approximately 0.0025 g of rose dew and 0.0002 g of essential oil can be made from a single gene of rose petals. Chapter 412. Business Development and Culture. Fuwa is the son of Li Xianxian. _4. Therefore, rose essential oil is the most expensive essential oil in the world, also known as the queen of essential oils. Rose essential oil can balance female hormonal imbalances, nourish, relieve menstrual pain, improve menopausal discomfort, and has good effects on skincare, such as whitening and nourishing the face, promoting the breakdown of melanin, calming, reducing stress, and promoting sleep. Whether it is sold individually or added to skincare products, rose essential oil has a very good effect. Meanwhile, rose hydrosol can be used to make face masks. And Yang calculated in her mind, then said, 50 kilograms of roses can only produce 0.125 g of hydrosol and 0.001 g of essential oil, which is far from enough. Mom, tell everyone tomorrow not to grow early rice or late rice today, but instead grow roses, aloe vera, and portulaca. No matter how much they grow, I will buy it all. The villagers of Jinghua village are generally kind-hearted. They worry that buying too many aloes and roses will leave Yang with a loss. Although growing flowers and aloe vera makes much more money than growing rice, each household only grows a small amount of them, primarily focusing on growing rice. After thinking about it, Yang continued, if no one believes me, tell them that if they want grow these plants, then I can only buy them from other villages. In fact, collecting these goods outside is very simple. The price given by Yang is so high that as long as she opens her mouth, people will deliver goods to her doorstep. The reason why Yang chose to purchase within Jinghua village is because she wants to lead everyone to prosperity. First small money, then big money. Okay, Mom understands. Tsuehua replied. The next day, when Tsuehua mentioned this matter under the big pagoda tree in the village center, everyone looked surprised. Yang's mom, are you serious? You're not joking with us? According to what Yang said before, aloe 1 cent per kilogram, portulaca 1 cent per kilogram, rose 2 cents per kilogram. If they planted these crops on all their land, they would earn at least 1 to 2,000 yuan a year. What does earning 1 or 2,000 yuan a year mean? You have to know, at this time the monthly rent is only about 10 yuan. Ordinary farmers can earn at most 1 or 200 yuan a year by farming. This is no different from getting rich overnight. Tsuehua said very seriously. What's there to joke about such a thing? This is exactly what Yang said. And she also said that if you all don't grow these crops, she can only go to other villages to buy them. How can they let other villages take advantage of such a good opportunity? Plant. We will plant when we go back. Our family was planning to sow rice seedlings tomorrow. Since you said so, Yang's mom, I will plant aloe vera when I go back. Then my family will grow more roses and portulaca. Yang really is our village's lucky star. Ever since she came to the village, our lives have been getting better and better, and we have more hope for the future. Yang's mom, you must have earned a lot of good karma in your previous life to have such a good daughter like Yang in this life. Hearing the praises for Yang, Tsuehua, as a mother, was also happy. Yang is now handling the remittance procedure for Wu Daming in the bank. This era is different from future ones. In the future, remittances can be handled in 3 seconds by just transferring an account on your mobile phone. But in this era, you need to personally go to the bank counter to handle it, and compare various pieces of information. It can't be done without 2 hours. Na Yang had been sitting at the counter for more than an hour, and only half of the procedures had been completed. Na Yang couldn't leave and couldn't do anything else while sitting here. So she bowed her head and wrote a corporate planning book on the counter. When her information is needed for verification, the bank teller can just call her. Miss Anai. The teller's voice echoed in the air again. Na Yang looked up and saw a handsome face. This is Shangguan Su. Where did the female teller just go? Shangguan Su seemed to see Na Yang's confusion, smiled and explained. My colleague needed to go out for a while, so she asked me to cover for her on the counter. Na Yang nodded. Mr. Shangguan is a good leader. It is not easy for a bank president to do this. Shangguan Su modestly said. I'm just a nominal leader. By the way, is the recipient called Wu Daming? Is the residential address at 399 Shihai Road? Yes. Direct remittance of 60,000 yuan? Shangguan Su asked again. Yes. Na Yang nodded. Chapter 413. Business Development and Culture. Fua is the son of Li Xianxian. _5. There are 2 remittance forms in total. Do you need a copy of the form mailed to the recipient? Na Yang replied. Send it over. After all, 60,000 yuan wasn't a small amount, and without a mobile phone to receive payment information in those days. Okay. Shangguan Su gave Anai the remittance form. Sign here. Na Yang took up the pen and swiftly signed her name. Her signature retained the style from her previous life, with a hint of cursive script, but she wouldn't make it difficult for people to recognize. Shangguan Su took the signed remittance form, and a look of admiration appeared in his eyes. The handwriting was simply too beautiful. It didn't seem like it came from the hand of a girl. Instead, it seemed like it was written by a boy, exuding an air of grandeur. During those days, women received a lower level of education on average. Most people who came to the bank would choose to use a thumbprint for identification, and some people's handwriting was crooked even when they wrote their own names. People like Na Yang were really too rare. No doubt, Na Yang really surprised him. Shangguan Su tore off the duplicated remittance form and handed it to Na Yang. Miss Anai, the money has been remitted. The recipient will receive it within 2 working days. We will be mailing the other copy of the remittance form later this evening. Okay, thank you. Na Yang expressed her gratitude politely. Shangguan Su gave a light smile. You're welcome, it's what we should be doing. After Na Yang left, the staff whispered amongst themselves. Do you think our bank manager has taken a shine to Miss Anai? Falling for Miss Anai isn't surprising at all. She's so beautiful and so rich. What exactly does Miss Anai do? How is she so rich? Miss Anai is the owner of New York Milk Tea Shop and Sour Fish Noodle Restaurant. Really? Of course it's true. Last time I went to buy milk tea, I saw Miss Anai helping out in the milk tea shop with my own eyes. A tall, attractive female employee came over, laughing and saying, Our bank manager is from a wealthy family, a true blue blood. It wouldn't be possible for a sole proprietor like her to reach his level, right? Indeed. How could they forget that, no matter how rich or beautiful Na Yang was, she was ultimately just a sole proprietor. Na Yang parked her bicycle in front of a traditional Chinese medicine store. The moment she entered the main entrance of the medicine store, she saw the boss grabbing a child by the ear and cursing as he came out. Little beast. A bastard born without a mother. You dare to steal from me. If it happens again, I'll teach you what 8-2 tastes like. The phrase 8-2 was a popular euphemism for being put in jail during that time. The child immediately knelt on the ground, holding onto the boss' leg and pleaded, Please help my dad, boss. He's really ill. I only have one father. He cannot die, please. I'm bowing to you. As long as you agree to save my father, I can be your servant. If his father weren't so sick, he wouldn't have risked stealing the medicine. Get lost. Get out of here. I'm not a charity. People die every day in this world. If I were to save everyone, could I handle it? The store owner kicked the boy away. His words were realistic but also cruel. Na Yang went over and helped the child up. Are you all right? Upon looking, Na Yang was taken aback. Wasn't this the young boy Fua she met last time? Fua. Fua recognized the lady who had given him candy that day. Sister. Fua, what happened to you? Fua, holding back tears, said, Sister, my dad is very sick. Can you save him? Please. The compassionate nature of a doctor would not allow Yang to ignore such a plea. Where do you live? Take me to see your father. Upon hearing this, Fua, seeing the last glimmer of hope, his downcast eyes suddenly filled up with hope. Sister, my home is at 15, Walt Road. Yang followed by asking, Can you tell me what condition your father is in now? Although Fua was young, he was able to describe his father's condition simply. Yang preliminarily discerned that it was an infection caused by a leg injury. She entered the medicine store to buy some emergency aid medicine, then rode her bike together with Fua back to his home. It was still the same crowded courtyard. Chapter 414. Business Development and Culture. Fua is the son of Li Xianxian. _6. There were several children playing with mud in the courtyard. They wanted to tease Fua when they saw him approaching but stopped at the sight of Yang, who was walking beside him. Children are often afraid of strangers after all. Sister, my dad stays here. Fua pushed open the room door. The room was dimly lit, and one could scarcely see a person lying on the bed. Fua swiftly got up with a stool and opened the window. Yang walked to the bedside, seemed to tug at the man's eyelids a little, then sat down to take his pulse. The room was dirty and messy, and it was filled with an unpleasant smell. But Yang didn't seem to mind. Looking at Yang, Fua's voice trembled a bit as he asked, Sister, can my dad still be saved? His father has been running a high fever since midnight yesterday and hadn't had anything to eat or drink since. Your father will be fine, don't worry. Yang's voice was soft and gentle, carrying a calming influence like a spring breeze in April. Feeling reassured, Fua asked, Really? Yang nodded. Absolutely. The man was not severely injured. His legs were initially paralyzed from a fracture, but this condition became progressively worse due to lack of prompt treatment, and eventually led to a coma. Another reason was the environment. Living conditions here were very poor. The bedding was moldy and the furniture was covered with dust. Such conditions were conducive to bacterial growth. Yang gave the man a pill to reduce his fever and inflammation, then said, Fua, can you wait for me here? I'm going out for a while. Okay, Fua nodded. About half an hour later, Yang returned with a brand new bedsheet and a bag of herbal medicine. 5 minutes later, 2 middle-aged women arrived as well. The sudden arrival of strangers made Fua a bit nervous. Yang explained, Don't be scared, Fua. These 2 aunties are here to help clean up. The 2 women were diligent. After greeting Yang, they began to clean. Yang then asked, Fua, could you heat a bath for me? Sure, Fua nodded. I'm on it. Helping out made Fua very happy. Shortly after, Fua came back in and said, Sister, your bath water is ready. Yang removed a bag of herbal medicine and handed it to Fua. Fua, pour this bag of herbal medicine into the bath. All right, Fua took it. After a while, 2 robust men came in from outside. Is Comrade Yang here? I'm here. Yang, who was giving the man an injection, responded. The 2 robust men walked into the room, hesitating. Comrade Yang, are we to bathe this fellow? Yang nodded. Yes. The men looked a bit uneasy. The man on the bed was just too dirty. No words were more apt than dirty and stinky to describe the situation. Yang followed up. Don't worry, you two. I'll pay double. The man was indeed very dirty, and if they didn't give him a good bath, it would affect his recovery from the illness. Once Yang decided to lend a hand, she would follow it through to the end. Upon hearing her words, the men immediately replied, Comrade Yang, rest assured, leave it to us. Double pay, only a fool would refuse such an offer. Smiling, Yang thanked them. I appreciate your help. The 2 men lifted the man on the bed. May I know where the bathing place is? It's over here, please follow me, uncles, Fua immediately responded. Fua was not stupid. He of course knew that Sister Yang was helping them. The 2 rugged men carried the man to take a bath while Yang helped to tidy up the room. In no time, the room was renovated. Yang picked up a few magnolia flowers from outside and put them by the windowsill. filling the air with a gentle fragrance. Yang settled the pay for the two middle-aged women. Both of them earned 2 yuan in total. They only worked for 2 hours. Considering the price level of this era, they profited quite a bit. When the two workers finished bathing, Yang also paid them 1 yuan each. "Thank you, young comrade. Please think of us if you need anything done in the future," they said. Yang nodded, "Certainly." After bathing, the man laid on the fresh bedding. Fua asked, "Sister, when is my dad going to wake up?" Yang put her hand on the man's wrist and said, "Don't be anxious, Fua. Just wait a bit more." "Okay." Fua nodded. Yang found 4 wooden sticks and gauze to fix the man's legs in place. "Sister, can my dad stand up again?" "Yes." Hearing this, Fua excitedly asked, "Sister, really? My dad can really stand up?" "Of course." Yang reassured him with a gentle nod. "Thank you, sister." "You're welcome." Yang patted Fua's head. "Wait a minute, sister." Fua ran into the kitchen and picked out a shriveled, rotting apple from the cupboard. He had found this apple in the trash and had kept it, planning to give it to his dad for nourishment. He hadn't expected his dad to fall into a high fever that very afternoon. Now that his sister had saved his father, he thought the apple should be given to her. Fua tiptoed and carefully picked up the apple, peeled it with a kitchen knife, scooped out the rotten parts and then carried the apple back to the room. Fua ate all the peeled apple skin without wasting any. "Sister, this apple is for you to eat." Fua looked expectantly at Yang. "Thank you." Yang accepted it and took a bite. The apple was already rotting and it did not taste very good. But for Yang, all food was equal, and she did not want to disappoint Fua, so she finished the whole apple. At that moment, the man on the bed began to stir. "Dad!" Fua excitedly ran over. "Fua!" The man patted Fua's head, then turned and looked at Yang with pale face. "Thank you for saving our lives. You are like our second parents." Despite being faint, he was still slightly conscious and knew that Yang had saved him. "You're welcome, it's just what a doctor should do." Yang then asked, "How are you feeling now? Is your head still dizzy? Do your legs hurt?" The man responded, "My head is not dizzy, but my legs seem to hurt a bit." Yang told him, "Pain in the leg is a normal reaction. As long as you're not dizzy, then it's okay. The facilities are limited here, so I just gave you a simple fixation. Your injury is not very severe, so you should be fine after a few days of taking medicine." The man choked with emotion. He didn't know what to say. His voice husky, he said, "My benefactor, my name is Zhou Tianbao, and this is my son Zhou Fua. Once we get back on our feet, we will find a way to repay you." "Zhou Tianbao?" Yang slightly raised her eyebrows. If she remembered correctly, the man who fathered Li Xiangxian's illegitimate child had the same name. Was it the same person? Chapter 415. Many Years of Red Moles. The show is really good to watch. _1 Yang continued. "May I ask, where is Fua's mother?" Hearing these words, Zhou Tianbao's expression darkened for a moment, before he responded, "She's gone." Despite public claims that Fua's mother had died, Zhou Tianbao did not want to lie in front of Yang. "Haven't you tried searching for her?" From this, Yang could preliminarily ascertain that Fua's mother was Li Xianxian. Zhou Tianbao replied, "The reason we came all the way to Beijing was that we heard she was here." Yang nodded and comforted. "I believe you will find Fua's mother." Zhou Tianbao sighed. "Now I'm just a useless man confined to a bed. Even if we found her, what could we do?" Yang smiled. "Rest assured, your legs will get better." Upon hearing this, Zhou Tianbao's eyes lit up. "Really? Benefactor, can I really stand again?" "Yes." Yang nodded confidently. "I am a doctor, I don't make baseless promises. Trust me, as long as you take your medicine on time, your legs could be better in 10 days, or at most half a month." Possibly no one could comprehend what it feels like for someone who has been bedridden for a long time to hear these words. Tears streamed down Zhou Tianbao's face. Thank you. Yang laughed. "Medicine is for the benefit of the people. Precision is paramount. It's a doctor's responsibility. Don't worry about it." "Benefactor, You really are a good person. Zhou Tianbao choked up. Fua, you must kneel and thank our benefactor. Now that his resources were minimal, all he could do was ask Fua to kneel in gratitude. They would remember Enai Yang's kindness forever. As Fua moved to kneel, Enai Yang immediately stopped him. You don't have to do this. I would have helped regardless of who it was. As it was getting late, Enai Yang explained how Fua should prepare the medicine and what to pay attention to in his daily life, and then left their home. As Enai Yang was leaving, he gave Fua 100 yuan. Fua and Zhou Tianbao wanted to refuse because Enai Yang had already helped them so much. Not only did he treat him, buy them enough Chinese medicine and new bedding, but he also hired someone to bathe him, thoroughly cleaning their home. Since Zhou Tianbao had been paralyzed, he hadn't bathed. It may have just been his imagination, but after bathing he felt renewed. Enai Yang said, Fua's dad, you should accept it. After all, you're still bedridden. Expenses are unavoidable. Though 100 yuan might not be much, it can resolve half a year's worth of living expenses. Once your legs are better, and you are able to earn money, you can return it to me then. Only then did Zhou Tianbao allow Fua to accept it. With this 100 yuan, added to the hope of standing again, Zhou Tianbao felt more hopeful about the future. Zhou Tianbao instructed Fua. Fua, you must remember this benefactor's grace for life. Without him, you wouldn't have a father now. Your mother may have given birth to you, but she did not raise you for even one day. She doesn't deserve to be a mother. You could be unfilial to your mother, but you can't be an ungrateful wretch. Fua nodded wisely. I know, Dad. At the Western restaurant, Shangguan Dehui arrived 20 minutes ahead of the agreed time. After all, this was his first date with Lin Fang, and arriving early was a basic show of respect to the woman. Where on earth was the rationale for letting a woman wait for a man? Time ticked by, and an hour passed, but Lin Fang was still not there. What was going on? Shangguan Dehui checked his watch, and a trace of impatience was visible in his eyes. Shangguan Dehui, a college professor as his side gig, despised people who couldn't be punctual, because simple actions can reflect a person's character. Punctual people are meticulous, while those with poor time management are lax, self-centered, and inconsiderate of others. Just as Shangguan Dehui was about to leave the cafe, Lin Fang finally arrived late. She apologized. I'm really sorry. I was supposed to be early, but I ran into a complication on my way here, and kept you waiting. In reality, Lin Fang had purposely arrived late, wanting to test the extent of Shangguan Dehui's regard for her. It seemed that Shangguan Dehui was indeed very fond of her. After all, she was a whole 40 minutes late. If it were someone else, they would have certainly left by now. Chapter 416. A long-term cinnabar mole. The drama is really good to watch. _2. Shangguan Dehui wasn't an unreasonable man. Understanding that accidents happen, he wouldn't be unyielding. What sort of accident is it? Is everyone okay? Lin Fang replied. Everyone is fine. It's just delayed some time. I truly apologize. As long as everyone is fine. Shangguan Dehui handed the menu to Lin Fang. What do you fancy eating? Accepting the menu, Lin Fang browsed it and said, I would like a filet mignon done medium rare and a fruit salad. I will have the same as you, said Shangguan Dehui, who was not particular about Western food, as he preferred Chinese cuisine. Lin Fang, who had done ample homework before coming and even researched on Shangguan Dehui's hobbies, thus brought up something of his interest. I don't really have any specific hobbies during my free time. Besides taking care of my plants and feeding the birds, my major interest is rock climbing. A sparkle appeared in Shangguan Dehui's eyes as he laughed. I also enjoy rock climbing. Do you prefer indoor or outdoor climbing? The most crucial thing for two people to live together is to share common interests, compatible values, and ideally same hobbies. Seeing Shangguan Dehui's reaction, Lin Fang knew her words didn't miss the mark. Both are fine for me. But outdoor climbing is more dangerous. I rarely go alone. Shangguan Dehui nodded. That's thoughtful of you. Outdoor climbing is indeed riskier. We could go together sometime. Sure, Lin Fang readily agreed. As long as you wouldn't mind me being a little clumsy. How could that be possible? Because of Lin Fang's clear attempt to concede and please, their conversation was rather smooth and pleasant. Having paid the bill, Shengguan Dehui asked, "Do you mind if we pack this?" Shengguan Dehui was taken aback. Lin Fang explained, "We live in a place where there are many stray cats that no one wants. Seeing so much of the steak left untouched, it seems a terrible waste to just dispose of it." She was truly a kind person. Commending her inwardly, Shengguan Dehui immediately summoned the waiter to pack the leftovers. "Is this enough steak? If not, I can order another serving to be packed." Lin Fang said, "This is enough. If it's not, I can cook some rice back home, no need to order more. It's a bit of a waste to throw leftovers. Food does not come easy, and we should all hold a profound respect for it." Hearing her words, Shengguan Dehui gave a more approving nod. It seemed that Lin Fang was way more virtuous and good-natured beyond his imagination. Her like was hard to come by, and to meet her was indeed his fortune. People of this era were generally more innocent. Marriages were rarely practiced after a relationship of a year or two. Most people got married after a few months of knowing each other. Shengguan Dehui believed that Lin Fang was his ideal partner. At his age, Shengguan Dehui had long given up faith in love. He simply wished to find a woman who could live with him, as long as he had a companion for the future days. The waiter handed the packed steaks to Shengguan Dehui. Accepting them, Shengguan Dehui thanked him. The two of them stepped out of the restaurant together. Shengguan Dehui then said, "Miss Lin, where do you live? I could drop you home." Lin Fang said, somewhat embarrassed, "Wouldn't that be too much trouble? Just a simple press on the accelerator, it won't be a bother." Lin Fang nodded in agreement. Shengguan Dehui's car was an imported model, fitted with genuine leather seats. As Lin Fang sat in the passenger seat, she suppressed her inner exhilaration while discreetly observing all aspects of the car. Upon her previous research, a car like this would cost over 300,000 yuan. With her current monthly salary of 33 yuan, it would probably take her entire life to save up to that amount. Rich people were indeed rich. A simple tool for transportation was a luxury beyond reach for ordinary households. Knowing that she was soon to marry Shengguan Dehui and enjoy all of this, Lin Fang again tried to control her excitement. Noticing that Lin Fang's face was growing a little red, Shengguan Dehui asked with concern, "Is the air in the car a bit stuffy? Shall I open the car window?" Lin Fang nodded. "It's kind of stuffy." Shengguan Dehui rolled down the car windows. The car drove along the highway and soon arrived at Lin Fang's home. As Lin Fang got out of the car, she said with restraint, "My house is quite messy. I better not ask you to come in." From this, Shengguan Dehui perceived her as a reserved and conservative person who cared much about her image. He gently nodded. "Then I'll be on my way." Chapter 417. Many Years of Red Moles. The show is really good to watch. _3. Drive slowly on the road and be careful. Lin Fang instructed. "I will." Shengguan Dehui nodded. After Shengguan Dehui left in his car, Lin Fang turned around and headed towards the apartment building. When she returned home, she could hear weak, desperate cries. "I'm so hungry, I want to eat. I need water too. I'm thirsty. I'm dying, someone help." The old man had not eaten or drank all day. His lips were dry and cracked. How could he not be uncomfortable? Nevertheless, Lin Fang acted as if she hadn't heard any of the cries. She went straight to her room, lied down on her bed, and began to plan her lavish life of leisure. At the Shengguan's residence. As soon as Shengguan Dehui returned home, Mrs. Shengguan asked, "Dehui, how did your first date go today? How do you feel about the girl?" "She's someone I can live with." Shengguan Dehui answered. Old Mrs. Shengguan laughed. "So, you had a good impression of her?" Shengguan Dehui nodded. Hearing this, Mrs. Shengguan was very pleased. "Dehui, I'm relieved to see you letting go of the past and embracing new emotions." Yet, within Shengguan Dehui's heart, there was a deep, unforgettable mark. The person he couldn't forget wasn't the mother of Shengguan Su and Shengguan Shi, but a girl he had once met in the countryside when he was a young educated youth. This is what happened. One day, when Shengguan Dehui, then a young educated youth, was looking after a forest on the mountain, He accidentally fell into a trap set by hunters. A girl, around 16 or 17, who had been herding cattle, had saved him. To save him, the young girl accidentally hurt her ankle. Shangguan Dehui was smitten with the girl at first sight. However, in those conservative times, they parted without even knowing each other's names. After some time, Shangguan Dehui eventually learnt the young girl's name and address, but she was nowhere to be found. She had vanished. Some people said she got married, others said she moved homes. In an age where communication was not as advanced, they lost touch from there. Later on, Shangguan Dehui started searching for her everywhere. Any whispers or rumors, reliable or not, he would chase after them, only to face disappointment every time. Eventually, Shangguan Dehui returned to the city. Unable to resist his family's pressure, he was forced to marry Su Fun, the mother of Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi. Shangguan Dehui was responsible. Once he decided to marry Su Fun, he was determined to fulfill his responsibilities as a husband. They lived a relatively loving life. Unfortunately, Su Fun passed away due to complications during childbirth after giving birth to their twins, a boy and a girl. Since then, Shangguan Dehui remained single. Now, after 20 years, Shangguan Dehui has long forgotten what the girl looked like, having only seen her once. All he remembered was that people in the village used to call her Daya. At present, Shangguan Dehui no longer harbored any hope of finding her. After all, so many years have passed. Even if he found her, what would it change? Perhaps she's now the mother of several children. It's difficult to relive the past. Some people can only live in your heart. Thinking about the past, Shangguan Dehui's face was filled with sorrow. He turned around and went to his study on the third floor, starting to practice calligraphy to calm himself. Anai Yin was riding her bicycle in the twilight of the setting sun. The breeze blew gently, stirring her long hair into a disheveled beauty. A black jeep slowly passed her by. The man in the driver's seat glanced at her. His usually calm eyes were suddenly agitated, as if a stone had been thrown into a still lake. Ripples instantly formed. It's her again. Anai Yin. Mo Baichuan slowly withdrew his gaze. Anai Yin always said she isn't interested in him. If that were truly the case, would she appear before him time and again? This woman, the mask she wears is too thick. Mo Baichuan's mouth curved into a mocking smile. He turned the steering wheel and drove towards Li Xiangxian's dormitory. It was about time to give Anai Yin a bit of a shock. Anai Yin is someone who needs a good shaking. Mo Baichuan's hand on the steering wheel tightened unconsciously, his knuckles turning white, veins bulging. Anai Yin didn't go home immediately. Instead, she stopped at the vegetable market to buy groceries and flour. Upon returning home, she ran into Gooden playing with little Anai Yin. Little Anai Yin was growing more noticeably each day. Only 10 days ago he was still toddling unsurely, but now he was walking sturdily. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.